Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's good to be back on the closing argument. Today is Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, and we are glad to be back on the closing argument for another edition of the show. And tonight we'll be having special guest, the fire chief from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, Chief Ken Perlman, who just returned from Liberia, where he went to attend the inaugural uh, ceremony of his friend, the president of Liberia, Ambassador Joseph Boyka. He'll be our guest. We'll have also with us a guest panelist, Mr. Winfred Russell, and also John S. Butler, another fire professional in the Maryland area. So again, welcome. We live on True FM, and we're being simulcast on other local stations across the country. Lofa, welcome, and the other guys are coming on. Uh, well, before we bring the guests in, quickly, let me just, the president just made some appointments this afternoon. President Joseph Yuma Boyka has nominated additional officials to positions in government affecting the Ministry of Mines and Energy, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Liberia Legislative Regulatory Commission, and the Liberia Maritime Authority. The nominees are Mr. Emmanuel Vey, Assistant Minister for Planning, Minister of Energy and Mines, Mr. Carlos T. Edison, Assistant Minister for Mines, Minister of Mines and Energy, Mr. Cooper Passaway, Assistant Minister for Administration, Minister of Mines and Energy, Ms. Saran Kabar Jones, Special Assistant to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Attorney Claude Tume II, Deputy Commissioner for Legal and Liberian Legislative Regulatory Commission, Councilor Nito Zaza Lehi, Senior Commissioner, Liberian Maritime Authority, and my own man, finally, Mr. Robert Wilmot Pade, Permanent Representative, International Maritime Organization, IMO. And these nominations were applicable as subject to confirmation by the Liberian Senate. Congratulations to the appointees and those who were nominated. Congratulations to them. And as you all know, the president also today commissioned several officials in his government. They received the official commission from the president today. Those commissioned were the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Dean of the Cabinet, Madam Cyril Beslo Yanti, the Finance Development Planning Minister of Boyman Kamara, Minister of State and Chief of Staff to the President, Sylvester Grisby, Youth and Sport Minister J. Ko Bangalu, Agriculture Minister J. Alexander Nuta, Public Works Minister Roland Lafayette Giddings, Health Minister Dr. Louis M. Poto, Commerce and Industrial Minister Amin Modad, Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister Gbemi Horan Scully, Presidential Advisor on Foreign Affairs Ambassador George W. Wallace, Senior Advisor to the President Dr. Augustine Kone, Legal Advisor to the President Mr. Bushi Ben Keita, and the Presidential Advisor for Political Affairs Magdala Cooper. Congratulations to them all. And also today, Salif Raf Tala was confirmed 18-0 as Minister of Transport. Salif Raf Tala, he was former Deputy Minister of Transport in the WIA administration. Today he was confirmed 18-0 as Minister of Transport. Congratulations, Comrade Raf Salif Tala. That's a good one to be confirmed 18-0. Everybody voted in favor of you. Congratulations, and I know you'll do well. I know you personally. You'll do well and serve the country well. Make our generation proud. And today, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General also had his confirmation hearing, Oswald Twe. And I think he will also be doing good. He had a great confirmation hearing. So, with all much to say, Lofa, before we bring the guests in, you have anything to say before bringing the guests?
Actually great to be on here again today. Wonderful day. Bless God for life. That's the most important part of this entire process. Great to know that our guests will be joining us to update us on what happened and what's going on in Liberia. As far as the appointments, we'll speak to that later. I just want us to kind of focus on our guests and their observation, the projects in Liberia. I just want to make this about them today. But the president's appointment requires a lot of scrutiny, a lot of concerns, a lot of questions from a lot of people. So we will hopefully spend some time in just doing the needed inquiries about these appointments. But as far as that, I just hope you yourself have yourself a great day, and we'll make it better right.
So let's bring in our guest, the former Brooklyn Park Chief of Fire, Chief Ken Parliament, and also uh, John S. Butler. I think he's the fire chief in Maryland, somewhere in Maryland, or Baltimore, I think. You'll correct me. And also our own friend and brother, Winfred Russell. Welcome to the closing argument, Mr. Russell, Mr. Parliament, and Mr. Butler. It's good to have you guys with us again. And we hope that we'll have an interesting conversation because the chief was just in Liberia and he gave us updates and also his perspectives of what he saw in Liberia, the challenges we're facing in our country, and everything we need to know about our fire challenges. So welcome. And also the chairman who just flew in from Washington, D.C. to this morning. He's been having some serious meeting in Washington, D.C. He just flew back to North Carolina this afternoon. Chairman Sanvee, we're good to give us some news about Washington, D.C. later on. But guys, welcome, guys.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We have to moderate this show. Let's go ahead.
Well, thank you, guys, and it's good to see the chief back and Mr. Ken. I'm trying to make sure I don't mispronounce your name. Preliman.
Yes, sir.
Preliman.
Yeah, you did great.
And of course, Winfred Russell, it's good to see you guys. Chief Butler, it's good to see you. Thank you for all that you continue to do. So we look forward to having a fascinating conversation about your experience of what happened in Liberia and, how you guys, obviously, I'm sure you're interested in helping and talking about the next steps of your visit. So I'll kind of just let Winfred, kind of lead it up, and then we will, we're here to listen today and ask you some questions.
Well, thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure and an opportunity to be here with you all. Being on the closing argument is an honor. When I was in Liberia, I listened to the closing argument on the radio. It was loud and clear, and there were a lot of folks following it. So it's a good thing. The last time we were here, I was here as one of the guest panelists, and we had with us Chief John S. Butler from the Fairfax County Fire Department in the DMV area there, and my own friend and brother, Chief Ken Parliament, who once served a year as the fire chief of the city of Brooklyn Park, and he then moved on to Texas, Wichita Falls, Texas, as the fire chief there too as well. So both of these gentlemen, these fine gentlemen, they were really great friends of Liberia. Of course, Mr. Butler is a Liberian immigrant, but both of them, in their professional capacity, were good friends to Liberia, and of course to the current president. And they've been working for a long time, for over a decade or so, trying to improve and strengthen the fire service delivery system in Liberia. And so recently they were invited to Liberia by President Joseph Boakai. And while there, they did an assessment of the fire service. And so we'll be having a conversation with them today about what they saw and some things that they can share with us. And remember, Ben, Tomalin and Lofa, the last time they were here, they all said that, after our assessment, after we get back to Liberia, we'll go to Liberia, and we'll come back, we'll be able to share with you all what we like them. So I present to you all and to the listening and viewing audience, Chief Kenneth Parliament and Chief John S. Butler. Welcome to the closing argument, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Chief Parliament, we'll start with you right away. You give your opinion, just go straight into your trip to Liberia and tell us what you saw in Liberia. Are we prepared to combat fire emergency in Liberia today? We just had one of our senators who just got burned to ashes. And you will give us the best from us. So it's all yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back on, and we did have a very quick, but I think in some ways thorough visit in Liberia. Although we focused our attention in Monrovia, we spent a tremendous amount of time with the director of the National Fire Service, and even when we were not observing the men and women or seeing facilities, we spent a lot of time in dialogue so that we could get a refreshed understanding of where the Republic stands. I will tell you that although somewhat disappointing, we weren't surprised. The Republic needs a lot of work in the area of fire protection. I think all of your listeners know that. I think that I don't think there's anything about that statement that's unique or revolutionary. And it's going to take a combination of time and money to solve this very complex problem. It's a big republic. There's a lot of square miles. There's a lot of factors that impact fire safety. Everything from getting trucks access to burning buildings, building codes, training. But some of the other things that are very, very different that I still believe we have to look at perhaps differently than we did, a few years ago. And I think the best way to describe some of that is not so much to focus on what goes on in Liberia. But let me tell you some things that go on here in the United States and allow you to draw your own conclusions. I will tell you first before I start that in about a 6-year period between 2011 through 2016, early 2017, collectively, our team and working with the Republic, and at that time, the Vice President Boakai, we shipped 5 fire engines, 2 ambulances. We shipped 500 sets of gear, 3,000 feet of hose, dozens of nozzles and other tools. One of the disappointing things is I couldn't find any evidence that it has survived the last 6 years. Most of that, if not all of it, had a shelf life that we should have been able to find it. It still should be usable. But let me tell you some things that we do in the United States that I think are different, that I think lends itself to better control and management of assets like that. We do in virtually every fire station in America a daily check to make sure that the equipment is there and that it's working. And if it's not working, it gets fixed that day. It doesn't matter whether it's low on oil, whether there's a fan belt that's not working, if it's a chain on a saw, if it's a motor that needs to be rewired. Every single day in our country, every fire station in America checks every single piece of equipment. So if something's missing, we know it immediately. And we can begin the effort of where to go, what happened to it? Is it broken? Is it out of service? Is it misplaced? Every day when something's not working exactly the way we expect it to work, we put in the effort to maintain it. That includes the apparatus itself. Most fire departments, most fire stations, the firefighters are checking the oil. They're checking transmission fluid, brake fluid. And they have available to them a fleet management or fleet services, similar, I guess, to what you call GSA, but perhaps better funded. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold here. That is responsive so that things tend to not linger. When we do those things, we're able to ensure a pretty long life cycle to the equipment that's being invested in here. And I paint that picture for you to say that of the things that I believe we need to work on, it's beyond just replacing equipment or bringing back more gear or even training. We have to change the culture. This isn't just a fire service culture. I mean, it appears to me, with trying to be as respectful as I can to Liberians, which you know me by now, I love dearly. This idea of maintaining things and making certain you're getting maximum life out of them, it plagues lots of departments beyond just the fire service. But if we don't address that as a root cause, then things disappear, things get broken. We don't seem to care as much about the things that are being brought. I introduced the possibility the last time I was on this call that the other thing is all of these donations may have, over a long period of time, developed a belief that there'll just always be more donations, that it doesn't create this kind of vested interest. I know, and Chief Butler knows, that when we do get the resources for a fire engine or a set of gear or a portable radio, we have to get the maximum life out of it, because there's no one sending us donations, and there's no guarantee that the financial resources are going to be available any earlier than the end of the lifespan for that piece of equipment. So it becomes ingrained as part of our culture here to take care of the things that we have. So I'll wrap up by saying, knowing the culture, and again, not trying to be disrespectful, but it does not surprise me that over this last 6 years, all of what we brought, there's very little evidence that any of it survived. And I'll pause there and let you ask questions or challenge me on any of that.
Yeah, Ben, you.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if we wanted Chief Butler to say something first, and then we can just ask all the questions. That way he can do his opening.
Well, thank you for having both of us on today, like we were a few weeks ago. This is an honor and a pleasure. This is on the other side of our trip. The last time we were together, we were preparing to go. There's a lot that Chief Perlman and I have in common, and it's going to be somewhat challenging, because what I don't want is for the quality of the podcast for me just to be, I agree, and I support. But believe everything he said, I do support and I agree. We are both fire chiefs. We have that in common. We both love the fire service in Liberia. We're both professional SMEs in this line of work. We both love the president newly inaugurated, our friend, and in some cases even stronger relationships like Ken has with the president. We both have relationships, and we want to see Liberia flourish, get better, do better, be better, and all those things. Everything Chief Perlman said, I agree. It was a short trip. It was almost 24 hours to get there, 3 days on the ground, and about 24 hours to get back. So within 5 days, and just 3 of those days on the ground for the inauguration, we were there and back. But I saw enough. I saw enough for a short trip. The first and foremost thing was to celebrate the inauguration and see our friends. We're able to see the president. We're able to walk and spend some time at the mansion. We were able to spend some time with the fire service director, Director Alex Dixon, and get a lay of the land. There's a lot of need, from equipment that's been already established by Chief Perlman, training, a culture of accountability. It's time. It's time to get away from the donor mentality. I'm not going to say any more than that's already been said in that regard. So I'll stop there. There's not a whole lot of new information I want to bring to what's already been established before we go to questions. I think Perlman said it best. I don't have much more to add to that.
All right. We're just going to go straight into questions. Peabody, we want to welcome you. Let me ask my first question to both of you, and you both can take your time to answer. You did meet with the president. Obviously, we have a society where the presidency is very powerful, right? If the president wants something done, it will happen pretty much. Like, I mean, there's no if and and about it. Did you get his commitment on as far as the importance of what needs to happen with this issue of fire safety in the fire department? And also, you talked about the issue of mindset change on the part of Liberians. What do you what can you expand on that a little bit? What are you talking about when you talk about mindset change or attitude change? Just expand on that a little bit so people can get a chance to know. So, two questions. One, did you get any commitment from the president as far as his commitment on seeing how this sector can be revamped and empowered through national government? And then as far as mindset change.
So let me take those in that order. First of all, I think as we reminded your listeners the last time we were on, going to Liberia, conducting the assessment gave us kind of that starting point. Remember, I said the first step towards real progress is starting with the truth. We now know what the truth is. The truth is equipment condition, training condition, stations condition. We know there's a lot of issues there. My conversations with the president started even before the runoff election about this topic because of its importance to him. I know from our conversations his commitment to create significant focus in the area of improving fire service capability and capacity building. And he agrees with Chief John Butler and I that we've got to do it in a way that is sustainable, that allows the Liberian National Fire Service to succeed with or without Chief Butler and I on the ground. That's going to take training. It's going to take mentoring. And I believe that, we may have to continue to have discussions about the capability, the training and mentoring of the senior leadership team. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. We have not yet asked for anything specific. When we were, as John points out, I was there a couple of days longer, and we were intent on visiting with the president following the inauguration. As you know, unfortunately, there was a guest on the grounds with a heat emergency, a Secret Service agent with a heat emergency, and the president himself fell victim to the heat that day. And what we did, what John and I chose to do, is to forego a lengthy meeting with him so that he could recover and rest. And since returning to the United States, we have been working on scheduling a Zoom call with him to pick up where we left off. We did produce a couple of reports before leaving the country that were delivered to the president. I gave him initial assessment so that he had an opportunity to see, even though we didn't get a tremendous amount of time with him, he had an opportunity to see what we saw, at least through a written report that Chief Butler and I prepared. And both Chief Butler and I, on 2 different days, had an opportunity to walk through the executive mansion. I know that it's important to both the president and rightfully so to Liberians that facility be used. We were both focused on making sure that the building was safe for office work as well as for overnight accommodations. We found some things that need to be addressed, and we've presented a list to the vice president or to the president and his staff with regard to what some of those issues are. The building is in great condition. It looks like it would be a wonderful place to both work and live. And having said that, there's some things on our punch list of things that need to be addressed. I think that, one of the cultural issues is for Chief Butler and I, the culture there's a couple of things that I'll point to, again, using our experience in the United States here. There's a couple of things that certainly I'll speak on my behalf that I don't fully understand and struggle with is political appointments at senior levels in public safety. You wouldn't find a single jurisdiction in America that does that. Every single jurisdiction recognizes that senior leadership in public safety organizations need training, education, and experience. In most cases today, you would not find a fire chief or a deputy fire chief that wasn't required to have a degree in fire science and 10 to 15 years or more of experience. Now, once again, I want to try to be very respectful to the Liberian culture. I want to honor the president. This is and always has been a big part of the culture there, and kind of the standard methodology across. It appears to be across the republic. And like all decisions, it has some consequences. There's no doubt that any one of you could be named a senior level person in the Liberia National Fire Service, and you might, given the right motivation and the right attitude and willingness to learn, you might be a very productive member of the fire service. But at a minimum, it's going to take a tremendous amount of time before that happens. In the meantime, it's a lot of issues go unmet. Again, it's not something that you would find here. And I think it might be an area where we'll have to focus some specific attention to those in senior roles so that we can get them up to speed as quickly as possible so that they can make a difference for the Republic.
Tony, you can.
Yeah. Chief Parliament, it's good again. Let me ask a quick question. You were at inauguration. We saw what happened when the president was giving his inaugural address. I mean, what do you think could be done differently to avoid what happened that day?
Well, Chief Butler and I sat about 8 rows back on that red carpet center aisle. We watched first the Secret Service agent that had a heat emergency, and at one point, Chief Butler and I both got up and began to try to assist. I think that I'm choosing my words carefully because I absolutely love the Republic. I think the issues that we see in the National Fire Service are not exclusive to the National Fire Service. I think there were protocols that had that same event, a Secret Service agent go down in that kind of heat. There are certain protocols. Chief Butler is a paramedic. He's a licensed paramedic in the United States. I'm a licensed emergency medical technician. There's protocols that we follow for those heat emergencies that unfortunately we didn't see that day. And as a result, when we brought the ambulances several years ago, we spent some time. We brought medical staff. We brought a medical director, and we spent several weeks at least teaching the nurses and the staff that rode out from the fire department some of the things that were likely to be encountered. Heat emergencies in Liberia, it seems to me, just kind of like Texas here. If you know anything at all, you ought to know how to handle a heat emergency because it gets hot there. And I imagine for the same reasons the Liberia National Fire Service tends to be several years behind the rest of the world. Perhaps some of the other areas are as well. So getting those VIPs undercover. I know for a fact that Chief Butler and I, even though directly above our head were the canopies. We never got the benefit of those canopies all day long. We were in the direct sunlight, so we knew what those Secret Service agents, what the president was feeling, and so again here in the United States, we would have had a completely different arm of public safety called emergency management, who would have had an action plan for those type events. We call those SEER 1 events. It's the highest level of both security and concern here in the United States, and an entire team focused exclusively on the types of things that might interrupt an event like an inauguration.
Let me add that is a very delicate question. Chief Billerman did a really good job of answering it, because one thing that we all on this call know, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to to look back and see all the things that could have happened or should have happened. If I had known differently, I would have worn a different uniform. I would have drank more water. I would have, and go on and on and on. So without belaboring the point, there's a lot of improvement to look at when we have mass gatherings. It was an inauguration, but there will be soccer games. There will be other mass gatherings. There's a lot to learn from this, and how to preparedness in the security apparatus. One thing that seems to be well put together is under the Ministry of Justice, the security apparatus, and Chief Billerman talked about emergency management. Somebody to put their arms around all the apparatus to do the planning. What if you do the what if game? What if it's too hot? What if it's too much rain? What if we don't have enough chairs? What if we don't have, and all of that. That is comes with going back to the fire service. I want to make sure we stay in our lane and talk about things that we're good at and know a little bit about, but they all go together, working together for mass gatherings.
Lofa.
Thank you again for, being on here. I want to actually use this opportunity to thank you both for being upfront and blunt with your, your assessment of the situation back home. This is not something that we are accustomed to, and I'm saying this as a Liberian. I am very appreciative to you and your team for being really blunt and telling us where we find problem and some of the things that we could do to hopefully address some of these concerns. That is honestly highly appreciated. With that said, my question here goes to the issue of maintenance and sustainability. You spoke of maintenance. You have donated several items to Liberia. Unfortunately, you went back. They don't appear to have been there, nowhere to be found, or whatever may have happened to it. What does this do to your desire to help more? Because, I mean, you can donate to some extent and then you just get frustrated because all of your donations are not being used accordingly. And after you visited and saw for yourself again, it appears that the culture doesn't seem to embrace the idea of maintenance, just simple, simply put, honesty. Just being honest and maintain the equipments that are donated. What does that do for you and your desire to continue to support and provide more service for Liberia?
Well, let me try and address that a couple of different ways. When I first had conversation with the president, again prior to even the runoff, in many ways, I took, or our team took responsibility for some of this. We came in 2000, we came for the first time as a team in 2012. I'd been there in 2011. We came in 2012 for the first time. And I didn't fully understand that sustainability and the maintenance culture was the way it was. And I told the president that this time around, we would change our approach, that had we understood that better. And when you stand before a forest, it's sometimes it's hard to pick out specific trees, right? And so we stood in front of a forest of issues, and we started grabbing at things that we thought we could make a difference in. But I regret that years ago, we didn't focus more attention on the senior leadership and making sure that what we were putting in place, they could sustain, that if they didn't have the right training or education, that we figured out how to get it for them. And so part of our learning process has been, it hasn't dampened our spirit. It certainly hasn't changed our heart for the Liberian people, but we've learned from it, and we'll approach it a little bit differently. I think the other thing that impacts maybe, and this is speculation, but it might be that some of that equipment, I look at it through a different lens, and that is the boots that we brought. If you're a farmer, those would be really nice boots. Those coats would be very warm in winter months and in the rainy season. There's a lot of things that might have another application. And if just like in my society here, we have people that are struggling to feed their families, and they're led to make decisions that you and I aren't led to make. And one of the big differences here is our fire stations are secure. They have doors that close when the firefighters leave to go respond to the needs of the community. And we haven't achieved that in Liberia. When the firefighters leave the building is open. And so if there are actors in the community who are just trying to feed their family or get ahead, some of that stuff might look attractive enough that they're going to make bad decisions around it. And so some of this is not on, it's not exclusively on the Liberian National Fire Service of not keeping track of it or maintaining it. In some cases, I think that there might be some other explanations. For us, again, I don't think our heart has changed. I think our approach might change a little bit. Here in the United States, we've got lots of agencies. We have lots of firefighters, fire departments that would love to be a part of something where the firefighters here feel like they're giving back. They're contributing to something that has the kind of need that Liberia has. I think I could speak for Chief Butler when I say, whatever we do, we want to do it so that we can say to our countrymen, your donation or your time is something that we've put in place controls that 5 years from now and 10 years from now, they'll still be in place.
And finally, you spoke of appointments. And again, I don't want to have to politicize the conversation, but you also highlighted appointments based on the hope that appointment will produce, okay, based on assets. We see that appointments that I made, even in the most recent appointment that was made, an official working out of one of the recent senator's office was appointed to work in the fire service. If you were to advise on that, what would be your advice? DeLon appointed his ward nominated, I should say. Let me stay out of that. But let me just say, in general, what would be your advice going forward as to how some of these considerations should be made?
Well, I don't know the young man that's been appointed, and so let's take the individual and set that individual aside. Right. I imagine if he's worked for a senator and the president has selected him, he's an outstanding individual. Mm-hmm. But let's look at appointments in general. Mm-hmm. The Liberian National Fire Service is run by a director and who has two direct reports, 2 deputy directors, director of operations and one of administration. And there's rank and file below that. There's a total of some 600 firefighters across the Republic. And there's 250 or 300 people in the Liberian National Fire Service headquarters. The second in command, those 2 deputies, play a very critical role in giving the fire chief or the director an opportunity to delegate authority in order to manage that size of an organization. And for the benefit of moving an organization forward, particularly one like the Liberian National Fire Service that already has so many challenges, bringing someone in from the outside of the organization who has no experience significantly delays the impact that they can have. The Liberian National Fire Service has got senior level people that we know, that we've trained, that we've worked with for years, that have in some cases 15 or more years with the fire service, who are ready for more advanced leadership positions. In the United States, if we had a system where the second level, the second in command was appointed from outside, it would have a pretty detrimental impact on people's motivation to go to school, to learn, to train, because they know they could only get so far within the organization. So, this is one of those areas where, again, I respect the president's right, authority. I understand how the Constitution reads, and I have complete respect for it. And there are some implications or some consequences exercising it the way it's exercised across these divisions. If the candidate that gets appointed is highly motivated, is willing to go back to school, it really takes a vested interest, seeks to understand, versus maybe someone who is there for a short term or is trying to achieve something else. The individual who's willing to make that investment, just like all of us, can be very successful, but will have limited success for some period of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, Robert.
Tomalin.
Thank you, Chief. I don't think you've been blunt enough, and trust me, I understand that you are trying to be very careful with your words. And I thank God that I'm not in that space. Trust me, I'm not going to put you in any situation that you can handle. But in other terms, I think what you said is basically that we have a dysfunctional system. Let's just call a spade a spade. That's just what it is, right? I like to do my due diligence on people that I interact with. And you have served in many high-level positions as a fire chief in Minnesota and Texas. You went to Columbia University. You have 2 associate degrees in fire science. You are an instructor. You are a fire investigator. You've published a book, as an extensive guide as far as emergency management. You've done these things, and you have the requisite qualification for the position that you served in. And I think that is a reflection of the reason why you've been so successful. And so when it comes to our country, Liberia, it broke my heart when I heard you talk about the culture. The culture of how we do things speaks to the mindset of who we are. And I like to say publicly, it's not all of us, right? Some of us understand the importance of not just the training, but acquiring the education needed. I'm shocked as to why we don't have at our universities an associate degree in fire science, outside of you just going to Liberia, spending a few weeks and few months and training folks in that area. But here is my question to you, my first question to you. You emphasize the president's commitment to establishing and making progress in the fire service area. You also talk about speaking to him prior to the runoff. Is it fair to say that the former president did not exhibit Yeah, and I just want you to be honest, because you've been there since 2012. President Salif was there, and President George Weah was there. Do you see the current president having more commitment and a political will to get the fire service right this time as opposed to his predecessors?
Well, let me tell you that so there's a Liberian that is now returned to Liberia. He's started a community farming initiative. It's just on the front page of one of the papers there. So Samuka Kiazolu came to me in 2010. He was the first one that said, "Hey, will you come and help my country?" And through a series of conversations, we found ourselves in Washington, D.C., in the ambassador's office. We made the original offer that we would come, do the assessment. And that's what kicked us off. That first meeting that we were in Liberia, we were invited to meet with Vice President Joseph Boakai. And from the minute we sat down, he was sincere. He was gracious. He was highly attuned to what the Republic needed, and to what he knew that we could bring collectively. We, the team that was available here in the United States to help, and he became our champion for the entire time that he served that term as vice president. When he ran against President Weah, we watched in anticipation as to how that would play out. And although I never had a chance to meet President Weah, I certainly, by then, 6 years, had a very close personal relationship with now President Boakai, and we were disappointed. But we waited to see if there was an interest in the Weah administration in having us back. Chief Butler, on his own, had gone back to Liberia a couple of times, and at least on one occasion did have an audience with President Weah. But I will just tell you that we weren't, we didn't have the same access or the same level of invitation to assist as we had when Boakai was the vice president, and when there was even the possibility that he could win the runoff, he called. Now, I felt honored that, we haven't even finalized the election, and he's already focused on how to improve his country's fire service. To me, that speaks tremendously to his credit and his character. So we had a constant dialogue with him when he was vice president during those 6 years, and with the exception of one or maybe two meetings that Chief Butler had with Weah, we just never had a relationship there. John, do you want to add something to that?
No. We do go back from 2012. There have been ups and downs. One thing that is certain, while even during the downtime, Chief Prilliman, myself, and there's a team behind us. It's not just Ken Prilliman and John Butler. There are a lot of people waiting for direction, guidance, ability, and willingness to come and help in any capacity. Nobody wants to stay there, and there's no other reason than the love for the country, the love for the president. Like Chief Prilliman said, I had a chance to work with the administration under President Weah. Good people. I don't have anything negative to say about that, but I do have a longer relationship with President Boakai from his vice president days. It was mentioned before. I was born in Liberia. I lived in Liberia for my first 13 years of life, and I've been back many a times. That is my home. That will always be my home. It's a labor of love, like we say. We will continue doing what we do. We will definitely have to do it a little differently if we are honored and privileged to come and help. I will always have to, not always, but most of the time I will have to come back home to the U.S. This is my base. This is where my family is. So we're here for the people of Liberia and our friend President Boyka and the administration. You know, anything we can do to help.
Thank you. My last question. We spoke earlier about sustainability and long term, right? And I like the fact that you guys have been committed. And Chief Butler, you are a Liberian. I mean, born, raised in Liberia, like many of us who live at an early age. So you are a Liberian. But I like the commitment level you guys have. This is not brand new. You just didn't get up and have gone to Liberia. This is from 2012. And the fact that we have not seen any major progress, just speaks to where our priorities are, right? But in terms of long term, and I will see this given your relationship with the current president as an opportunity to go beyond just the training process. It's good, trust me. It's great to go back home and train and get some folks ready. But what do you guys think about if given the opportunity and if given the resources? And I'm sorry, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are now. You said if given the resources. Yeah.
If given the resources, how do you guys have any idea? And Chief, I looking at your bio, you are a IAAI fire investigator. You are an instructor. How do we help transform the education sector that specifically focuses on getting men and women who understands fire science? If given opportunity, are you prepared to go back home and start the process of at least having an associate degree in fire science at the University of Liberia or at any one of our major public universities?
Well, this is a really good question, and it's one that Chief Butler and I and the current director of the fire service there, Alex Dixon, spent some considerable amount of time on. The director, Chief Dixon, it was his idea that we figure out a way to bring a fire science education to Liberia so that firefighters there could be trained. And one of the things that Chief Butler and I helped frame out while we were in Liberia is, if we go back many, many years, when I first became a firefighter, I became a firefighter in a volunteer fire department. And so I had a full-time job to support my family, and I would be a firefighter in the evenings and weekends. And the only way to get certified back then is I spent a lot of weekends at a technical college learning how to do firefighting. And firefighter certifications here in the United States are broken down as a firefighter 1 and a firefighter 2. We require everybody to have both. Firefighter 1 was 4 modules, A, B, C, and D, and they built on each other. And the conversation that Chief Butler, Chief Dixon, and I had is, we believe that it would be relatively easy to bring that curriculum with a U.S. Training facility umbrella, park it in Liberia, and we could either bring some some firefighters from there here to teach them how to teach, so that we can then start people down the path, so that we could develop a plan. And again, this is speaking off the top of my head, but we could develop a plan that says all 600 have to get through module A in the first year. All 600 have to get through module B and C in the next year. And eventually it becomes a requirement, so that little boys and little girls that want to be firefighters, they don't start by coming to the fire department. They start by going to the college and get modules A, B, C, and D done, and they become qualified to be firefighters. If we had that as a foundation, the work that our team could do to move them from there up, it's a game changer altogether. So we identified during our trip to Monrovia that would be one of the early wins that we think we could put in place, and a way for us to get all Liberian firefighters at least started on that path.
Thank you so much for answering that questions. This is a challenge to the government, and if the president is watching, I hope that the president, his ministers, and the entire country can really push for this. I think this will be a significant boost to our country and our fire service department. Thank you again for your commitment and your donations and your service to our country. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Peabody, you want Peabody?
Good to see you, Chief Butler, and good to see you, Chief Perlman. Good to see you, and been listening, been following you for all that you've been doing for that country. But how can you keep on helping and it's not really yielding a result? What do I mean by that? The people, the material, the things you are sending in, it's not being accounted for. How do you plan to create a system that the boots, the jackets, and what you send will be accounted for?
One of the things that, Chief Butler mentioned, the fact that although we were only there for a relatively short period of time, we did spend a tremendous amount of time in kind of deeper conversation with the director. We believe that there is a possibility that we could find either a member of our team or somebody there locally who we could raise up into a role that takes specific responsibility in some areas that I think would lay a better groundwork for us. Here in the United States, we have in our larger fire departments, we often have a division of professional standards. It's separate and apart from administration, separate and apart from the operations. It's kind of an oversight, and professional standards kind of it audits, it verifies that money is spent appropriately, people are hired appropriately. It verifies that every employee in the headquarters has a job description, and it's a job that requires full-time employment. It's someone who would put in place inventory controls, and then weekly checks. If whether I buy 500 sets of gear or somebody donates to me 35 radios, we have systems in place that if that stuff arrives on next Tuesday, someone checks to make sure it's still here, right? So you got to have some focus. You have to have someone that can be courageous. So oftentimes these are difficult conversations. If you give a station captain out in Painesville or some other city in Liberia, you give them 30 sets of gear, and a week from now, there's not 30 sets of gear there. There needs to be a difficult conversation with what's happened, and someone needs to be held accountable. And that accountability could be somebody doesn't work for the fire department anymore. That in and of itself might be a cultural change that may be difficult for members of the executive branch or Congress or the communities to embrace. And what Chief Butler and I have tried very much not to do, we've tried not to create a United States Fire Department in Monrovia, yet we have to call out areas of the culture and the operations that we believe might be contributing to some of the problems. So again, our goal is not to try to create a U.S. fire department in Monrovia, but rather to look at the U.S. Fire Service more from a best practices perspective and bring those to Monrovia. Much of what we do in the United States, you could go to the United Kingdom, you could go to other parts of the world, and you would find very similar approaches to solving these same problems. And in some cases, we solved them years ago by putting different systems in place. So part of our effort would be to look at how do we bring those systems and put them in place there.
My second question here, you, Chief Butler, can answer that question. Recently, there was a fire in Liberia. There was a senator whose home burned down totally. Senator Saad Joseph, his home was burned, and he almost died. And it took fire service forever to come when the house was completely burned. If you Liberia is very desperate right now at the airport. They just got a truck, only one truck I believe they have functioning, and sometimes places that fire take place, you have to drive almost an hour or 2 hours before the fire truck get there. If you were to meet with President Boycott, what is one thing on your mind that you think you will be telling him? What will you, when you meet him today, what can you tell him? Say, look, President Boycott, this is what you need to do immediately to calm down some of the casualties you're having here for fire. What will you tell him?
One of the things that we did back in 2013 or 2014, we brought a piece of equipment that we called it in the United States was a skid unit, SKID unit. Now, the probably the most remarkable feature of a skid unit is this device has it kind of arrives on an oversized pallet, okay, and it has a pump that you can connect hose to, and it has a tank that you can put water in, and it fits in the back of a pickup truck. Okay. Now we use these a lot in the United States. They don't use them as the very first fire. We have big fire engines, just like the ones you're trying to purchase in Liberia. But what we also have in the United States, we have a lot of them. I had in a town that wasn't much larger than Monrovia, I had 8 fire stations, 8 fire engines, 2 ladder trucks, a rescue, 2 of these skid units. We put a lot of equipment. So our response times across America for paid fire departments like Liberia is, our response times are between 4 and 6 minutes on scene, pulling hose line to put fire out. Now, having said all that, I'm not certain when you consider the condition of the roads, the way in which homes have been added onto and built onto, and in some cases they've encroached alleyways and roadways. When you look at the cost of those big engines, I think one of the things that we ought to have some conversation around is perhaps the value of a fleet of these smaller vehicles that can get into where the fires are at quicker. The quicker we can start putting water on a fire, the smaller the fire is. So you're trading a smaller vehicle, maybe is carrying less water, but those bigger vehicles, if it's taken them 40 minutes to get there, when they get there, they have a much bigger fire to put out. I think our approach to how we buy equipment, how we staff, it would allow us to have more equipment in more places, but not necessarily spend a significantly more amount of money to do so. And at least as a stopgap, right? It might be that we would continue to roll a bigger engine out of Monrovia, down to Painesville or Congo Town or something. But if we had these smaller vehicles that could get there quicker and start putting some water on it, then when the larger engine arrives, the operation is already going. I think that's one of the early areas that we look at to see if we can deploy quicker. When we delivered that skid unit, again, he was the vice president. He understood it. He got it. He liked it. On our conversation back in October prior to the runoff, he even mentioned it. So I know it's already on his mind that is a possibility that allows him to distribute more equipment without significantly multiplying the amount of investment. It's not a long-term strategy, and it certainly wouldn't work all by itself. But I think it might be a good stopgap and buy us some time.
Well, we want to give the Russell. You're going to chime in later on. You want to chime in, but we want to give the Liberian people a chance to interact with the fire chief. So we call the guys to open the lines. Call. So Henry, you guys can come. Let's open the lines and let the people in Liberia call and in the U.S. call to engage the fire chiefs. It's an opportunity to have them on the show. We appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight because the issue of fire is very, very serious in our country. I was in Liberia for almost 2 months. Yeah, what I observe is that, like for instance, in the U.S., we all know there, we all in the U.S. Whenever there's an emergency, it takes as soon as you call 911, in less than 15 minutes they are there. And in fact, I don't know whether people in Liberia, I don't think they do fire drill in Liberia. Everywhere we work in America, we do fire drill. Everywhere, the school, everywhere they do fire drill. And then number two is that I noticed that, like what Peabody was just saying, we're on the phone watching live the senator house getting burned, and we're on the phone for more than an hour. Not one fire truck show up. And imagine it's a senator though. And number three, in the heart of almost in close to Monrovia, and this will happen, and no fire truck show up all through that town. People are taking water, and I don't understand why we have fire trucks in the city. I don't know. I see it there, but it was so sad to witness live of a house got burned live on the live scene. So I want to open the lines, and while they're coming, Russell, you want to chime in? Henry, Jala, you guys come open the lines, please.
Yeah, thank you. A fascinating conversation, and I'm very familiar with a lot of what both Chief Butler and Chief Perlman are saying and their involvement. And one of the things here is that before we get the callers to come in and engage the fire chief, I know Chief Butler just announced that he had to leave early. I just want to say thanks to him for coming on and sharing with us his thoughts about fire response and fire service in Liberia. But a couple of things I just wanted to highlight to both Chief Butler and to Chief Perlman. I've been doing all of the conversation. Now I know this started a long time ago, but I think one of the issues here is that, like many other things, I mean, we look at whether it's a city government or municipal governance processes and all of that, and a number of other areas too. We don't seem to have the appreciation for these services. So to the extent that we need to re-educate folks, or with all due respect, educate people about the importance of having a very responsive fire service. Like we see a lot of tragedy involving fire. We saw what happened in Total. We saw what happened, unfortunately, with Senator Sir Joseph House. But I don't think the government or the legislators or even the public in general see fire service as an important service that needs to be, supported and protected and funded. Okay, so Chief Parliament. So I think part of the conversation. I mean, I know this because you were here in Brooklyn Park on the city council, and I know how important it is. I mean, Brooklyn Park was a city of about 23, 25 square miles, has about 3 fire stations. Okay. So in your conversation with, you've been having a conversation, and I know this, it's been a part of it with, President Boycott now when he was vice president for a very long time. So, in your recommendation to them and to him, have you impressed upon him, that we need to build a fire station in all of the counties? We need to build fire station in Buchanan, in Ganta, in all of these different population centers, and we also need to elevate the importance of fire service in the in the country. And I do know that you made a lot of recommendations based on your assessment, the assessment that you all did, your team, the fire rescue team did, a fire rescue mission did a long time ago, maybe 10 years or so ago. What happened to those recommendations? We still see that people are building, places where the zoning laws and zoning codes are not being followed. We still see people are running around in Monrovia with flashing lights, and they were not allowing emergency vehicles to go through. So I'm interested in what sort of hard conversation, if that you're having with the powers that be, because you are very close to them. You have a very great relationship with President Boyka. How come in 10 years plus, none of these things seem to have moved anywhere,
Well, I think there's some pretty good questions in there. We did do our assessment report that we wrote in 2012, I think was almost 90 pages that included a complete description across about 18 different areas and described current condition, kind of best practices moving forward, and some recommendations. I think one of the things that I'll put it this way. I'm just a fire chief, right? I've never served as president of a country. I've never had to rely on two houses of Congress to support my agenda. I've had to have city councils, but as you know, Winfred, that's often me convincing city council of what's their best option, and I'm trying to convince 5 individuals. I'm not an entire country. I don't know how hard it is when even a well-written, well-thought-out series of recommendations still has to get prioritized across the entire republic. Remember, when we delivered that report, there was not a single working traffic light anywhere in the city. There was no working fire hydrants. Most of the city was still without power and water. So whether it's the president and his staff, whether it's the House or the Senate, all of that still has to get prioritized. And then there's another piece. And, there over the years, and you just have to, as an outsider, I can say I learned this by studying the history of Liberia. One of the things that's unfortunate is there's been too many people that have taken advantage of the republic financially, the corruption, and we were without getting into it. We saw it firsthand during that 6-year period, trying to get things shipped into the country, and because of that, especially an outsider like me. Even your callers that are listening, if, and there hasn't been, but if there was a proposal of let's allow Chief Prillaman and Chief Butler's group to spend $300,000, which isn't even close to what it would take to resolve these issues, there's a fair amount of Liberians at all levels of the community and the government who would not trust that we could do that well, and account for all that money, and for good reason. There's been a lot of examples over decades of people taking advantage of the republic. And I say all that to say one of the things that's always been missing is we've never been able to discern what's available. Like what could we carve out financially to invest in this area so that we could arrive at something that's better than it exists today. If we knew that we were trying to build something with, again, just making up numbers, if we knew we were building something and we had $5 million to do it, Chief Butler and I and our team could be very specific about, this is the priority that I would spend $5 million. But if there's only 500,000, of course, that's a very different plan. And the way we've gone about it in the past has been, we spend a little of our money. We did spend some of the Republic's money. We get donations. Some of our team members, they paid for their own airfare. They paid for their own hotel. So we've tried to piecemeal this thing together instead of sitting in a room with the right stakeholders, right? You know, we ought to have the president's staff and members of Congress that have a vested interest and can say, okay, what do we want to invest in our National Fire Service, and what do these subject matter experts tell us we ought to be able to accomplish with that level of investment? Virtually everything that goes before our city leadership, our county, and our state leadership here in America goes through that process. As I bring issues and initiatives to my government, I start with, here's the problem, here's why it's a problem, here are the options that you can do, including do nothing. Here's what I believe, using my 45 years of experience, is the best option and why, and this is what it is going to cost you. If we could get to that kind of process, then I think things like assessment reports and recommendations, it's a whole lot easier to wrap around that and go, hey, we agreed to do these 8 things. We've only done 4 of them. Who's working on these other ones? Where's the accountability? You made a commitment. I made a commitment. Whatever it is, it gives us a roadmap. But I'm afraid that without that broader conversation, it makes it more difficult to hold anyone accountable. And I tell you what, you know, despite my personal relationship with the president, he's still the president. I refer to him as the president when anybody else is in the room, and I speak to him as the president of the republic. So I don't push my agenda. I make myself available to the republic, and I'll work as hard as I can when invited in. But I'm not going to go push door open in the Senate. I'm not going to go to the Speaker of the House. I'm not going to operate outside a very narrow chain of command. I'm an invited guest, and I don't ever want to forget that.
Okay, we'll go to the lines now. Kev, you want to chime in? We'll go to the lines.
Sure.
Oh, so quick. Let me ask you. How are you, Chief? A quick question, because Mr. Russell took away one of my main questions of your long time friendship with the president of Liberia now. But you answer, I still not too satisfied with the answer, because that's just because of your connection, your friendship with him. Under his 12 years, we could have a better, a fire service going to the Georgia government. But quick, let me ask you: did you meet President Bokar on your visit to Liberia?
We met the day before the inauguration. I got in on Friday, and we met on Saturday before the inauguration.
Would you like to share some of the things that you talked about? Maybe other people actually, because I was having.
You already shared it, yeah.
You already shared it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, any promising thing that you're gonna be going next time to fulfill some of the things?
Well, I'll just share briefly what I shared earlier, and that is, there's no doubt in my mind that the president prioritizes the need to significantly improve the National Fire Service. There's no question about that.
Okay, maybe it's time. It sounds a little vague, but hey, because of time. So
okay, Henry, let's take some calls. Okay. Again, the good thing, Chief Parliament, is that we have some lawmakers watching this show, and the good thing is that the budget for the country was just sent back to the executive branch so they're going to send it to the House, the legislature, to make the appropriation. And I'm sure what is hearing tonight is I'm happy, like other guys said, you have been very honest. Just imagine you just give a figure amount of 300,000. It could be it's not much, but it could do something. But I hope as they are watching the show, listening to you guys went on the grounds, gave a first-hand experience. They can make more appropriate in the national budget for our fire service, because honestly, our fire service is completely down. We need help. Even if they allocate $1 million for fire service, will do our country well. But let's take some calls, Henry, quickly.
Tomalin, I got a call on the line here too.
Go ahead.
Before Henry get his first call. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, guys. So I have a question for the chief, and here is my question. The way
Who's on the phone? Who's on the phone? Yeah, Demon, where you calling
this
from?
is Ben.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. All right. So the way how homes are built in Liberia these days is almost every home has these iron bars that that are built all around them. So in terms of fire, there becomes a fire hazard from the outside looking inside. So you as a fire chief, and I can tell you that people build those homes those ways in Liberia for a particular purpose. So how do you handle these two issues where people are protecting themselves from other reasons, and at the same time we have fire hazard that those iron bars themselves poses to people? Thank you.
Good question, Ben. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we'll take some calls, then the chief will answer. So let's take more calls, then the chief will answer everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then you're going to be live on the closing argument. 777-017-635. That's the number to call, and then give input on the closing argument. 777-017-635. That's the number to call, and then you're going to be live on the closing argument here tonight.
So no call. Why did you waiting for calls though? You got
we got someone on the line. 777-017-635. That's the number to call, and then you're going to be live. To this caller. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Your name from where you join us?
I'm joining you from Monrovia, Kansas, for security reasons. I want to call my name.
For security reason, you will not call your name. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I want to thank you very much for this program. But one of the major problems we have in our national fire service is corruption. Corruption is at the highest peak, and it is very weakening the system. Secondly, our alley, the government needs to open up the alley because make it very difficult for the fire truck to be able to the community. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. 077701765. That's the number to call. He talks about two things. One, corruption, and that of the government needs to open the alley. So
the alleyways. Yeah.
When there are fire incidents, so that they can reach there quickly. 777017635. To this caller. Hello. Kindly lower the volume of the radio.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, hello.
How are you? Your name from where you join us?
Yeah, this is Abushiri. I'm from Mankashi Japan Freeway.
Okay, go ahead.
The closer argument family, thank you for the program. The studio guest. Actually, my brother, they welcome me because when so far, imagine one fire station where almost before Jam Johnson Road down there, then one right to choosing factory. Besides that, me as a Liberian, I don't even know what besides down there, what the case of in the entire country. What is that? So actually, I would like to appeal to President Joe Parker, let it encourage, let the no come here, let it come. I can treat more Liberia, and put fire station all over the places. So That would be our it'll be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll have to help me with that one.
And what he said, explain to the man what the guy said.
The guy said that he's calling on President Joe Walker to train more people and to bring more fire stations so that they can be there when fire incident occurs, so that now someone will not come from Ken Johnson Road again, but rather right around so that they will rush there quickly. That's what he was trying to say. Joba 7017635 to this caller. Hello.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Kindly lower the radio.
I'm calling from Tony Street.
Tony Street, your name?
My name is David.
Iba David, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I want to commend the chief in studio there, but one of the things that we want you to do as a librarian, my people, when you're in the studio there, some of us want to go, or we are silent listening, we want you to break the opinion down. Now you're made out of jump, school feeling with that, but you take your own set down, my people, for librarian, the only thing. Some of the things, because it's very, very to our life. Okay, for my recommendation for what the chief has said, one of the more important things, my brother, in this country, the hustle jail or too much is that purchase something, how would they imagine something, go inside there and go off the fire then, my brother. I have saw it before, it brought problem for the car to even enter. It's one of the more important things there. All the alley, everybody bidding on alley, everybody doing everything together, my brother. It was made for us to bring way back. It was made when even investors come in the country to take the responsibility of those things there, will make them to even get start done. Because like brother had no system. In the other people country, they even as soon as they fire service strike, they can't go with instructed in another yard to solve that other problem. But that's not happening in Liberia yet.
Because of the journey of the horses.
In the long run, those things happen.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Baba.
Joba 7017635. That's the number to call, and they're gonna be live. You guys got in, said that the horses are like a chain. They are like together. So at times when the fire service car come to reach to where the incident is taking place, it's very, very hard. People are even going as far as building on the alley. So they will have to leave some space so that whenever incident occurred, they can get that faster.
So Chief, is the whole thing about the on zone, about the whole zoning.
The need from what you ask.
Okay, this is Pastor Ben calling from Ben Sanvee.
Okay, Pastor, go ahead. 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to say thank you to the guests on the show and all the panelists. And I want to say thank you for the deliberation on the issue is even concerning our Liberia fire service. You know, one issue that really destroying most of our sector in this country is corruption. Corruption. People don't want to be accountable, in government area. And as long as Liberia continue to experience corruption, to get advanced and bring more development, it's going to be a problem. And again, one of the callers said something about the alley issue. The alley issue is one of the main things in this country. One of the main things, that's why we pray that this government will get to work on it. You see that there's to open the alley. Because people are just building on the alley. That even when you have a disaster, there's no way the fire team can even make that way through. That will bring that by the grace of God is going to look into so you can rearrange that. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, I got a caller here. Go ahead, Edwin.
My name is Edwin from Delaware.
Gotta be loud. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, man.
We don't have dating pools in Liberia.
Go ahead.
When people,
Edwin, I don't know. He's his phone. His phone out.
To this caller. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Your name from what Johns?
My name is Nyenwolo. Join you, but not
Okay, from Bonasfan. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the issues that you have discussed. The fire department, the serious problem for everyone. So my recommendation would be like if anyone putting iron bar to their windows, that they make it in a way that cash will be on it, that you put something on it to lock it down, just like how you lock it slow, then you put that on it inside, so in case any other emergency or such, then you will be able to open that bar from inside way and get outside. If not, until fire service can improve, we will experience a lot of discussions from fire disaster in our community. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You said that when we are putting the iron bar, because most time you see when people build a house, they put an iron bar, and then we should gotta open it inside, like a door, so that whenever any house or catch on fire, so that you can be able to like open it from inside to get us out while waiting fire service. Because most time you see people when they build a house and then put in a bar, they put everything in the wall, and then they put much of cement on it. They will hold it tight. So at times to even remove the cement or to get rid of the bar, it becomes very, very difficult. So before fire service can come to rescue any family, let there be an opening inside, so that whenever such incident occurred, you can like open it from inside, and then maybe people can like find their way out. That was his recommendation. 770-1765. We'll get just 3 more callers.
Yeah, 3 more callers.
To the panelists.
Yeah.
770-1765. Call and make a point, make a contribution on what we are discussing tonight. 770-1765. That's the number to call, and then you're going to be live on the closing argument. To this caller. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Your name from where you join us? Come again?
I'm calling from Firestone, Magibby County.
Okay, Firestone, Magibby. How's Firestone?
I'm okay.
Okay, go ahead. 1 minute.
Thank you for the talk show tonight. For the issue of the fire service, we all create problem in this country. Even the great fire zone we had today, when we say fire occur on the plantation, the fire service to come there is very difficult. So we want for the government of this country to really look at the fire service issues, that they open it all over in the county. And one of the things there is the people do not want to accept the job to go into the county to work. But they only want to be in Morovia, to be sitting there to work. And how will you do the work that you have to go from county to county? So thank you.
Thank you so much. 2 more callers, and then we'll turn back to the panelists. To this caller. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Your name from where you join us?
Yeah, I'm Utero Gori. I call from the Looking Town Bell.
Okay, Utero, go ahead. 1 minute.
Yeah. You see, there's a problem that we're going to face in Nigeria when it comes to the fire service issue.
What's that problem?
Yeah, okay. You see, even the equipment, they get individuals that bring in the equipment. You see, individual.
You have to dress away from the radio.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying without the problem that we're going to face in Liberia. The individuals buying equipment for other countries that bring them in Liberia for the Liberians to buy. How can that be? And then fire themselves to generate our own revenue. So I don't know, those generate, what do they do with this? Are they not giving it to fire service for the output of the service? So I don't know. That's the question I'm asking. What do they do with the revenue that they generate?
So
that's my question.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just one more call, and then we turn back to the panelists. 777-017-635. That's the number to call, and then you're going to be live on the closing argument. To the last caller. Hello?
Hello?
No, we can take this number. You call already. Give chance to your other friends. Let them call. 777-017-635. That's the number to call. No, the number also call. Can take you. So it's back to you guys.
Okay, Chief
That
Parliament.
last question I didn't understand.
Yeah, what's the last question, Henry?
He talks about the revenue. What are they doing with the revenue?
So, Chief Parliament, I think you heard most of the questions. If I mean, you can just summarize the questions you heard and just address the questions the callers asked.
Yeah. So here's what I would offer. First of all, the devastation of fire doesn't rest entirely on the National Fire Service. Certainly doesn't rest entirely on the president. Here in the United States, we invest a tremendous amount of money in fire prevention. And so, one of the ways in which every single Liberian can contribute is to be very attentive to candles, irons that have hot coals in them, whatever they're using to warm their homes or heat up their food. Most of the fires are a result of one or more of those causes. And so the best way to fight fire in any country is to prevent it from happening in the first place. And every one of us can do our own part to make certain of that. And that also includes, I realize that there's still areas of the country that don't have great access to current, but overloading extension cords and doing other things like that create electrical hazards will result in fire. So I'll start there. Second, I think that the bar issue on the windows is with the right training. I think we can overcome that. What I saw is it seems like there's still a majority of the homes where the bars are there, but there's no window. Is that still accurate? So there's a lot of techniques that we use here in the United States of fighting fire from the outside. And in some cases, we do it that way because it's a safer firefight. And so in that regard, those bars aren't as big of an issue, but if they're not taught how to fight fires and not taught how to look for opportunities, they can get distracted and spend a lot of time trying to get through bars that they may not need to. I think the bigger issue is this discussion on alleys and the way in which homes, of course, if we were all going to build a home and we had to build 4 sides, it's going to be more expensive than only building 3 because, you're adding on to someone else's home. But the consequences are what we're seeing, particularly in Monrovia. And it's really mushroomed since the last time I was there, 6 years ago. I made it through downtown a couple of days. And but let's just look at that for a minute. You've got a situation that has been allowed, whether it's by omission or commission. It's been allowed and it exists today. You have people that's their home. And so whether you're the fire chief, whether you're the mayor of Monrovia, whether you're that family who finally figured out a way to put a roof over their head, this is a difficult conversation of recapturing those alleyways. And what I saw 10 or 12 years ago is the need to do some work on building codes. The building codes serve as kind of the rule book, right? If I came to Liberia and you were going to introduce me to your style of soccer, to your style of football, and you didn't tell me the rules, I would fail miserably. The building codes serve as the rule book. And we're going to have to start taking a look at how do we want the country to operate? And it's what do we do with alleyways? What are we doing with adding onto homes, whether they're in the alleyway or not? What are we doing about sharing current from one household to another? what are we doing about all these vehicles that have red and blue lights facing forward, and you can't distinguish real emergency vehicles from poor emergency? What are we doing about all of the things that's impacting public safety, and sit down and begin to have some of those difficult conversations, developing the codes and the rule book for how we want the country to look. And we're going to have to live with the fact that, we didn't get in the condition we're in overnight. It's not an easy solve. You're going to have to, for the alley issue, for example, we may have to say, okay, you built there. You probably knew you shouldn't have built there. The city is taking back their alleys. We're going to take them back on January 1 of 2025, and then we have to have the backbone to do it. We have to have the fortitude to follow through, give people reasonable time to find alternate shelter, but then when January 1 comes, clear those alleyways. There's probably maybe a dozen other issues like that in the Republic that we have to develop kind of the standard, serve some notice, and then hold everybody accountable. The more stations issue that came up earlier, that's clearly an important piece, and one that will be has been and will continue to be in our recommendations. Here in the United States, we use a phrase related to responding to fires, and it says our success is directly related to the weight and the speed of our response. The weight is how many trained firefighters we can get on the scene, and the speed is how quickly we can get there. If either one of those is broken, you're going to have a lot of fire loss. You're going to have situations where, thank God, nothing serious happened to the senator, but you're going to have situations where you lose large properties and put people's life at risk. We have to continue to invest where we can improve the weight, which includes the training and the equipment, and the speed. And that includes being able to distribute those fire resources more broadly so that everything's not coming out of downtown Monrovia, for example, for the area that it's covering. And then this issue of corruption is certainly a bigger issue than I think, whatever time we have left here, we're going to solve today. It kind of is this thread that goes through virtually every conversation. It's probably, as we would say, it's the elephant in the room. It's the big issue, and getting your arms around it. It's everything from making certain that whatever the budget is, we have complete accounting for every nickel that's in that budget. We have receipts, but let me stop there for a second. Look at what we're doing today in Liberia just to purchase gasoline, and tell me how we bring accountability. The fire department goes to someone on the president's staff or in the finance ministry, and they're getting these coupons, and then they're going to a gas station where we're pouring gas out of glass jars. There's no receipts, there's no control. So if the coupon gets me 15 gallons, but I only take 12, how do we find it? So a lot of the challenges that face us under this broad umbrella of corruption is because there's so many. I think we give people too many opportunities, and we have to have some systematic methodology to start closing down those opportunities. And that whole gasoline thing, Winfred and I have talked about that many a times. That's a whole nother ball of wax. And, from a fire perspective and public safety perspective, we'll get into that today.
Guys, the fire chief, I think he has given us a lot of information tonight, and I think the good thing our people are watching And people, I hope and pray that we all should join, put efforts in to our lawmakers. When the budget comes before them, they can make appropriation for our fire service. And Chief Parliament, it's good that you are a friend with the president. It's good, and I pray. I hope that he will take your advice. And he's the president now. He's not the vice president no more. He calls the shot. So we hope and pray that the issue of fire will be taking care of our country, addressing our country. Is very serious. If you're in a country and if something happens, you're gonna. I mean, I see people taking the. I think you witnessed it. I'm sure, Chief, taking the water in the bucket, taking sand, and because people are not trained, we should do it even put in our schools too. Because even our kids in America, they do fire drill. They teach them in the schools, everywhere, and so that we have people who are willing. Because people feel that. Just imagine now, though. Take for example, when they're making appointments in government, the fire service is like, suddenly the fire service is like, no, that's not where I want to go, because they would have it treated. But if it was prioritized and people would love to go into fire science to do best in the best so they can help the country. But I just want to say, they're gonna, Mr. George, we appoint you to fire service. I said no, I want to go there because I feel like it's just a projected era. So we pray that you help. Pass this message to the president. I mean, his officials are watching the show tonight. I'm sure they're related to him. So lawmakers are watching. And it's serious, I'm sorry that what happened to the senator the other day was very sad, but I pray that it will prioritize the fire issue of fire service, our safe stay in our budget. So, guys, the fire chief, you guys have anything to say before we ask him for his parting comments? It's up to you guys now.
Can I say? Oh, go ahead, Lofa. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, and I had to drop off. I had to pick up my daughter. So that's why. But I've been listening to the show, and Chief, I want to thank you for your service and commitment to Liberia. I pray, and I'm sincere about this. I really, really do pray that President Bokai
and the fire chief is a man of faith too, as well.
Exactly. So I think we share this. Yeah. Listen, I'm serious about this. I really pray that President Bokai gets and develops and muster the political will and courage. Listen, I've seen presidents come and go. I've been privy to be close to pretty much the last three of them, and I know them. I know President Bokai very well. But I would say this. It certainly seems like there's something that happens whenever they get elected to that office, and all of the fire that's in their belly, right? It goes away. I don't know if it's because they get overwhelmed by the magnitude or the severity of the problems in the country. But I really, really do hope and pray that President Bokai, because this is very important. This is very, very important. I was driving, listening to you, and I said to myself, imagine people are living in Liberia. You're living on a day-to-day basis with that threat over your head.
Yeah.
As I was listening to you, because of the way you kind of broke it down, I was like, imagine just living in a country where you in the middle of the night, anything can cause a fire. Like you talked about candles, you talked about, and the country itself, a fire hazard. Just look around. There's no zoning. Everybody's building the way they want to build. People are building. There's no exit. There's just so much that can happen. Even our public buildings. Mm-hmm. The president of the country go into these buildings. Mm-hmm. The vice president, all of these important people, before I even go to the ordinary citizens, right? So that's why I think this is absolutely important. And so someone like you, with your help, with your, your relationship with the president, I beg you, please, if first of all, don't give up on Liberia. And I don't think you are going to give up on Liberia, because even those of us who are Liberians, sometimes we have a tendency to say, you know what, let's just forget about this. We ain't going nowhere. Nothing's going to happen, right? But please don't. And I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for all that you've done. Like you said, this is not your first rodeo. Winfred, thank you. You remain persistent and consistent on this issue. And I think that's how change is going to happen, right? So I pray the president muster that courage, generate that political will, give you guys the latitude and the opportunity to come in there and to do the needful, right? Let's just even start with the bare minimum of what we need and how we can leapfrog. Because I definitely believe that there are a lot of goodwill out there. There are more Ken parliaments out there, many of them out there, but we need to figure out a way how, we can do. So I just want to thank you. So it's not more of a question. I just want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for staying engaged, staying committed, and not getting frustrated and dropping it and saying, you know what, these people are not serious. Let it be over with. And I'm sure there's going to be more rocky days ahead. But I trust your commitment. I want to thank you for your service to our country and and your service here. We live here, so one way or the other, you have been able to contribute to all of our safety. But thank you, and I really just wanted to say that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Winfred, thank you also for being a bridge that that you can continue to help your country.
Thank you so much for all that. I really do appreciate it. And it reminds me that one of the things I want to make sure your listeners hear loud and clear is, I've seen, I've responded to fires in Liberia with the firefighters there, and I've seen residents that are mad because how long it took. I've seen residents that are upset because we run out of water. I know for a fact that the men and women who serve in the Liberian National Fire Service are doing all they can with what they have. And if they had more, they could do more. Their heart is in the right place. They want to learn. They're the most eager to learn of any group of people I've interacted with anywhere. And they're doing absolutely the best they can. If it takes 20 minutes to get there, or 40 minutes to get there, it's not because they drug their feet and didn't approach it with a sense of urgency. In some cases, they're waiting hours to refill water because we don't even have a system where fire trucks have priority to get refilled over other trucks in the Republic. So just if your listeners, it would go a long way if your listeners would just know that they're doing the best they can with what they have.
Chief Parliament, before you go quickly, Tomalin, I know Ben touched on it a little bit. I just wanted to dig deeper, and that is, and I'm not going to share what I know because I don't have a background in fire science. My interest in all of this, Ben and Tomalin and all you guys, it comes strictly from my experience, my passion in the whole city government, city administration, city services. And as you know, in America, fire service falls within the jurisdiction of city administration.
Of course, it does.
To provide. Yeah. So, Chief Parliament, what sort of assessment? I know we're talking about the overall, we have a much bigger problem there too. But what sort of assessment have you done? If you can share with us candidly the assessment you've done with public buildings. Ben talked about that. What is the national legislature, the Congress there, or the mansion, or any of these public buildings to ensure that they are not fire traps, that we don't have fire hazards in them. I mean, your assessment and your look around, have you seen fire extinguishers in buildings? We're not just talking about cars, but we're talking about our public buildings. I mean, what can you say about that?
Smoke alarm with that too.
You muted, Chief.
Someone earlier today said they appreciated my candor. I'm not sure you're going to appreciate it now. The buildings are in terrible condition. They're mostly unsafe. I left, Chief Butler and I left a list of improvements even in the executive mansion, where we didn't see fire extinguishers. So we gave them, we left that on the list. The public buildings that I've been, I didn't go into the new ministry building. I was at one time, there was a new ministry building back in 12 or 13. I'm trying to remember what ministry it was. And it had current sprinkler system, hose cabinets, and so forth. So I assume that the new ministry complex is up to code, but it's an exception. I stayed in a hotel. Of course, it doesn't have. They had extinguishers. I saw extinguishers, but most of them are not in great shape in terms of
Probably can't even work.
stopping a fire. And when you look at, we had a fire on Saturday at the executive mansion. Saturday before the inauguration. It wasn't in the building. It was in the back of the property.
On the back, yes.
Even though the way the property is laid out, there was no access for a truck to get back there. But the combination of, the firefighters, the best they had is they had two different types of hose taped together with duct tape, trying to stretch enough of it to reach that fire. It's unreasonable, whether it's in the executive mansion, the Capitol, the Hall of Justice, any of these commercial buildings, to be able to expect them to do much right now because of the combination of the condition of the equipment and their training. And so for some period of time, we got a tremendous amount of risk. And I believe the president knows that, and I believe he's committed to addressing it.
Wow. Again, Chief Parliament, let me just, in addition to what I said earlier, I just want to add to this to say thank you for the service render. We highly appreciate it as Liberians. And we can't say any more than thank you so dearly. I'm glad that you muster the courage to highlight some of the problems that we have in Liberia, and corruption is at the very top. If you're to look at sustainability, the reason why we cannot meet up to that expectation is because of corruption. If you were to look at maintenance of the equipments, the reason why we cannot maintain our equipments is because our officials are corrupt. And even those who are opportune to work in these very capacities are just as corrupt because they are copying off of those who are in government. If you are to look at, the courage or the desire to serve your people, I see a lot of fire service officials, even firefighters here in the United States, starts as volunteers. You mentioned the fact that you started as a volunteer, and eventually you rose to the top. So these things happen as a result of corruption at the very maximum. And the fact that you're courageous enough to come out here and say, even if you're not stating it to the bare bone, so our people who are following on the radio can understand, you're highlighting corruption being one of the biggest problems for which our fire service cannot put their head above the water. And if you listen, one of the callers called on here and said, for security reason, they would not state their name, but they were concerned about the same issue of corruption. So honestly, I have no question to ask regarding everything you stated. You just highlighted what the problem is, and I'm just hoping, that our leaders will see reason to not only serve themselves, and that's the reason why I see. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm not trying to be insensitive to the senator here, but he served for so many years. I would have loved to see how much effort he would have add to the service that Chief Parliament is offering, and see more force for him so that the result, he would not feel the pinch. And then we're highlighting it. There's several other Liberians who are suffering from fire in Liberia, whose voices may never be heard because they are not senators or representatives or other people. But some of them have died from fire issues in Liberia. But their stories are not told because they are the commoners and they're not represented in senator. And those we pay to get the job done, they instead push their courage ahead of the innocent people. But I'm just saying to you, I'm very grateful for the fact that you have added your voice to the lives of others who continue to stand and fight against the idea of corruption in Liberia, and just placement. In conclusion, placement. We
Okay,
just
Lofa,
yes.
just before you go, we got the chief investigator from the Liberia Fire Service.
I'll keep quiet so he keep jumping. Okay.
Yeah. So let me just get him on the line.
Go ahead.
It's recording, but it was not easy.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. So very shortly he will be with us. We're trying to call him.
You're trying to call him? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He's on the line.
Okay, go.
How you doing?
How are you?
Well, I thank you. My name is Colin Robert Wood of the Liberia National Fire Service.
Okay, Robert, go ahead.
Yes, just called to commend Chief Tomalin and Chief Butler for the splendid explanation on the show tonight. I benefited from the visit in Liberia. I was trained by them. And my only disappointment is that this institution has been downplayed to bring people from outside and put them in the institution without recognizing those that have been there and those that have been working as technicians in the institution. We have well-educated people in fire service. We have a lot more educated people that have training or benefited from training from abroad. But unfortunately, fire service is not taken seriously. Let's just take, for instance, the last administration left fire service, and not too long when they left, there was a terrible disaster. We almost lost our senator. That was terrible. When I went on the scene to investigate that case, it was an incident that the senator was only seen by the mercy of God. Not even a drop of fuel was left at that institution for the use on the truck. Ever since Father was fallen up to now, whenever they sent allotment to Ministry of Finance, the allotment are not paid on time. Our vehicles are not serviced on time, and most of those cases are constantly ignored because the fuel fire is nothing. And we just face serious problem. I tried calling to get through. I couldn't get through. I had to make some comment on to the text message so that at least I can make my point. I'm grateful to Chief Tomalin. I know him very well, but we've not seen each other for a long time because he came to Liberia 6 or 7 years ago, and Chief Butler. I benefited from training from that they had in Maba Point. So I'm grateful that they have come back to talk to our people. But what I'm appealing is this. I want the government to look into fire service. They have qualified people in fire service, well trained that can take on the institution. You continue to bring people from outside fire service will not go nowhere. Fire service will be to that particular position because those people that will come will have to take time to learn. They will not take 1 year to learn. I want to be grateful to you for granting me the opportunity to speak on my mind. Like the scholar father said in the past, corruption is still in that building. And the government will put a foot down to make sure that people that bring in the fire service are not clothed with corruption like the wolf in sheep clothing. We need people who are transparent, people who will see fire service and see the weapons of fire service or the firefighters are humans and not animals. I want to see people who come to fire service and see the firefighters as those who can protect their lives and not that people that can put in front to die before their time. I want to go ahead and listen to you very, very well. I'm very disappointed. We just had an appointment to fire service, and that appointment we don't deserve that appointment because it is like a slap in our faces. We are educated there. If they don't want to know that we are educated, let's come and control survey. If they want to really know, let's come and control survey and see how many educated people we got in fire service. Degree holders. We are not only in fire service as firefighters. We got school people in fire service.
Can we get him to come on the show? Can we do a show with this guy?
Yeah, I will tell Henry to contact him.
Yeah, Henry, keep a number. But continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
He and Chief Dixon. I mean, we can get the fire chief. Dixon is still there, though, right? Chief Tomalin?
Yeah, he's still there. Yeah. Colonel, thank you. It was nice to hear your voice. I look forward to seeing you again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Tomalin, let me just land on this point here. And I think this is something that I was.
Is he still on the phone?
Is he on the phone?
No.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
sorry.
And I'm glad that this caller literally just took everything out of my mouth, as far as my closing on this particular issue. The recent appointment that was just made, and you also spoke of that, Chief of Parliament, that if you're bringing people from within, they will bring a little bit more idea, understanding, the experience, and the passion to deliver. Unfortunately, it is based on the same corrupt practices we speak of, selective idea of putting people in places. To be honest with you, I can't express how grateful I am to you and your entire team for remaining consistent in your desire to help our poor people, because the victims here are the poor who cannot get access to the services in the United States where I live. Unfortunately, well, let me say fortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately for us, when I dial 911 for fire service, they don't care whether I work for the state or I work for any government agency. They are there to save my life, and they are there to protect me and my family. Unfortunately, for those in my country of birth, it is not about that. Those people are left to die while the focus is on those in government. You notice they did an official call earlier. He highlighted the senators home burning and not those other people who have died in similar situation. I'm grateful to you and your team for doing that. I hope they all can learn the hard way too. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Parliament. Again, look, it's good that while you was on the vice president just came on the show. He watching the show, so I'm happy to hear that guy, the caller who just called. I'm happy that he is watching this show because that's someone who the Liberian taxpayer was invested in.
Yes.
Money into his education. He said he benefited from your training at Mamban Point. Yes. And then that's the institution we should not put politics in, because now someone who are just appointed to fire service has no dealing with fires, nothing but fire.
Right.
That's a political appointment. They have put that person there. And these guys who have won the ranks and file, the training, everything, they are being ignored. So I hope and I pray in your closing, our Chief Parliament, as you close, please send a clarion call. I know the president has a prerogative to appoint who he wants to appoint, but fire is something that we take very serious. It's a national security issue. We cannot overlook it. It's very important. So, Chief, you can now give your parting comments, and we just appreciate you so much again, you and your team, for what you guys are doing for our country. We thank you, and we pray that Ben said, please don't give up on Liberia. Please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the time that you've given to this topic today, and your support for the Liberian National Fire Service. The men and women who are listening or will hear about this show, I know will appreciate very much that this topic is front and center, because they have not always felt very well supported. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak into that, and thank you for your very gracious and humbling comments. I hope to come back and continue to keep you updated on progress as we move forward. And I'm just grateful for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Russell.
Thank you, and thank Russ Winfred. And one of the things, that's one of the difference that we try to bring is to not. We're all interested in the politics, Liberians, they let politics in it, but that's why topics like this is important, because like I said, the other day, a senator almost died in his house. If his neighbors had not bust open that window, it's probably having a different conversation today. And like I said, we have fire hazards all over. We live in a country where everybody home got iron bars in and out, literally in and out, right?
Yep.
And so it's important for us to highlight this, and this is a part of the change also that that we continue to talk about. But I agree with you, Chief. Morale is important. Listening to that young man, just imagine, morale is important. It's the same thing in any corporate setting or any work setting. You want to encourage people to rise up, and like Tomalin said, I think there's certain, and some of these things, the president may not know everything about this. It may not be all, the president's fault. It may be part of the whole political machinations and everybody's, pushing their interest. But I think there are certain entities that should not be politicized. I think, you just leave certain entities and say, hey, you know what, this one, I'm going to put my this is about technocrats. This is about people who know about it, because it has to do with the live. Look at what you just said about the executive mansion, Chief. That there was no way to get a fire. What if that fire was, remember this mansion got burned before. That's the reason why, they finally just moved into it. So I thank you. Thank you for your support. And you do have access to this platform anytime. Anytime you need to, you think you need to get a message out there. Like Tomalin said, the vice president's listening. People widely listen to this platform, and we try our best to stay a little afloat. I know we talk the politics, but at the end of the day, when we do have opportunities to talk about issues this important, that's why we have someone like Winfred who's always contributing on this platform. So thank you, and to the other chief, for doing this. Yeah.
All right. Have a good rest of your week.
Yep.
And God bless Liberia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah.
Interesting conversation, man. Look,
interesting conversation. I mean, I at this point, I don't even.
I feel the guy the investor who just called. I mean, it tells you. And honestly, everybody had a problem with that appointment I just made, and that's someone who you can tell he has gone through the ranks and file of that fired service agency. Then bring somebody from outside who has no idea about fire, nothing, but because you.
But the something that he said, this is a pattern, right? This is having past government happened in the past, in the immediate past, in the last past, and it's continuing. So my thing is, I think what needs to happen is, I mean, they've been withdrawing nominations, right? So I don't think it should be a hard thing to do. I think hopefully the president's listening. Hopefully the vice president's listening. I think they can start. That's why I said this administration has an opportunity, right, to hit the reset button on a lot of things in Liberia. You can do it. We didn't support, certain people didn't support you, they didn't support you, but at the end of the day, for me, I think there's certain entities and agencies that should be beyond politics. You just say, hey, this one, I think in my mind, actually, when it even comes to governance, I think from assistant minister down should be all civil service and technocrats. I think we need to.
For example, Ben, I just saw an appointment to the president appointed as special assistant to a minister. When that started?
Well, no, in fact, funny thing about that, the president does have I just saw the executive law.
Wow.
And I know Saran very well. The law gives and she has to be confirmed because she has the rank of an assistant minister.
Wow, that's good.
This is the law, right? The law says the president, with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint a special assistant to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who will have the title of an assistant minister.
We have this sort of imperial system, right?
That's what I'm saying, right? This is another opportunity for reform, Winfred. Let's institute. Let's talk to the legislature, institute some of these reforms from assistant minister down. Yeah, the president can appoint minister and deputy, but assistant ministers, I think there should be technocrats, void of political influence, because they are the engine of the entity. Why is it, guys? And this is my last thought on this. Why is it when they pass the executive order on transition, right? Because the executive order said all political appointees are deemed resigned as of 12 midday when the president takes office, the new president takes office. You know who takes over? The head of HR. So because of institutional knowledge, that is the mindset, right? So I think we need some reform in our civil service, in how we hire people in Liberia, because some of the people who they appointed as assistant ministers, hey, listen, I'm not going to go there, but it's okay.
Ben, I'm glad that you and Tomalin are somehow agreeing with me when I make the point that positions should not simply be offered to people based on their loyalty or their membership to special political party. And after the elections, those are some of the things.
That's like the norm, though, right?
But this is, and Ben and I went back and forth about this. Tomalin and I and other, we talked about this. Is we cannot maintain the norm. We must learn to erect the needed checkpoint and find a spot where we can start from. Because look where we are, brother. look, Mr. Russell, we are far behind. There's colleagues, friendship kind of thing. Oh, yeah, you know that guy, know him. It's okay for his appointment. But then the other people are being, no, let us start to push for the technocrats to get in so that we can move Liberia forward. But look at what's happening right now. Oh, you were on the campaign trail so long, so we got to give you opportunity. The man worked so hard. He was on the radio every day, so he deserved an appointment. How can we move Liberia forward in such a way? It's the same thing that is happening right now with the fire service. The young man that was actually appointed to that position, it wasn't because he understands that area. Simply because he been devoted and a loyal supporter of Senator Dillon. So Dillon then pushed him through and said, look, you know what? Let me reward you with the level of loyalty. And that's why he got pushed over there. And others who've been there today, they are left alone. They feel like, you know what? Why should I have to go through this? These are some of the things that we talk about. But I'm glad that people are starting to agree with our positions, that positions should not be based on, you know, the level of loyalty or the commitment to political parties and all of these things. I'm glad to see that people are gradually getting to that point.
You know, guys, even I'm happy the president today, when he commissioned some of his officials, he said, and I quote, "I do not want corruption in my government, and there will not be a room for impunity and mismanagement. We must strive to build a country of integrity where the interests of the people are paramount," President Bouazizi declared. He also said that he would do what he called performance audit.
Performance evaluation.
Performance audit and lifestyle audit too, or just
audit. He says you will see certain times you will find out if Tomalin George. That's why he said he told all of them should declare the assets now. So if Tomalin George was living on bypass in one room, and then after I got appointed 6 months later, I have a whole home with a fence in my home and so forth. Next thing, they got to find out how I got all this money and look at my salary and everything, you know, what I declare when I declare my asset. But you know, it's very important because we see what's going on right now, and it's serious. And we hope that what they are saying, they're going to live by it, because people are doing different things. Like, for instance, take an example. There's another thing, the tenure positions. There are people who in private, they are saying different thing. When they go on the radio station, they're saying different thing.
Exactly.
Some of them they will tell you, tenure officials, "Oh no, I'm in your interest. I'm in your interest." But as soon as they leave from there, they go in private and they're saying, "Oh yeah, break the law. Don't. I mean, it doesn't matter. The president can do it. You know, and it's not good for our country." And I pray that I think right now, from my understanding, is that there's a hold on those who have put an ice on it yet. They are still evaluating it. I will pray that the Senate will be in his good wisdom, will not confirm these people. They will let the people, either two things can happen. People term expire, because it makes no sense, Winfred, to see, for instance, why would you want to pay somebody, the government have money, but you won't spend almost $7 million to pay 10 officials, pay them off, just because you want to satisfy your partisan? I mean, you say you have money, but you won't spend, then, I mean, and the people should not take payment plan, no. They pay them off. Yeah, don't say I'll pay on payment plan. People have 2 years, 6 months to serve. Let them finish out. When the term expires, you can appoint your people you want to put there, but to come and take them to go, you won't pay them off. And I'm pretty Sunday will stand their ground. We should keep using our platform to put pressure on them too, to show that they should not violate the law. And just go because you have the power to do it. I don't think it's fair.
Now, let me ask you this asset declaration you talk about, is it going to be public? Is it public, or is it the private? And how do we
verified?
Exactly, that's the word.
But I think now the president, he did actually declare asset, but then they have not made it public. And I think, but then when you push them, what they say you should use the Freedom of Information Act. And now, you go to the courts, they will just drill you, because the judge will drill you. I remember that they will just continue to drill you, and you will find out you won't get nowhere with anything. As a result, you get frustrated because, but I mean, it's simple. Like other people, okay, I commend Dillon, I commend Senator
Yombly,
Pro Temps, Yombly, and even the guy, the representative from District 12. They declared it as they made it public.
Emmanuel, they didn't just appointed that.
Declared, made it public. So they never come into office with. But You just declare and they say, well, it's
But not, so obviously the law doesn't say that they should declare it public. Is that what the issue is, or is there some vague?
The law is silent on that particular one. Silent.
So
but yes, but I think if for transparency,
yes, ethically, yes.
I mean, how much? Tell people how much they're coming in office with, because you go there now and the next thing, because so it will save you tomorrow. Because if somebody come and say, well, heard that Lofa Julius just got a Range Rover that cost $50,000. He tell us, no, I had this in my I brought it in from America. I came to Liberia, I bought it in the States. But if they don't see it, people have different perception about that, you know.
But Tomalin, here's another thing, and probably Kev want to come in, but I probably hold off on if Kev can come. If not, I want to chime in on another thing concerning this asset declaration. But let me get Kev the chance to chime in here.
Okay. You know, I listen to you guys, you know, even though I was doing some stuff back, but I listen to you guys. I think Liberia love to, I think they enjoy, you know, the complaining, the complaining. They love it. They love the complaining. First of all, you guys saw the 12 years of this government. They did the same thing. We told some of you guys how deceptive Dillon were. The people say no. He's the lie. He took his cameraman and make him deputy fire chief with a high school graduate. But when some of us talk about those things, we will call all kind of names. They say Dillon is a lie. Matter of fact, they say Dillon is the best thing ever happened since the breath of Jesus Christ.
Keff Hassan, I apologize. You will not take the one apology now.
You know, no, I'm talking about a lot of people, because you know why? Because a lot of people attack us and say it will be a new day. It will be a new day. So, but I just believe the Liberian people, some of them who voted for the guys, love to talk, because first of all, when they formed the CPP, some of us say, look, you got some good guys among you guys. Don't go there. And all of you remember when I was on another platform and I said it. I said, don't join, don't do this. Everybody went against me. And now that they're saying this, what do you expect? I told you, Dillon is a political Nicodemus. He do things at night. He would talk to folks who have tenure position and tell them all the good talk, and just sit right beside JMB and damage them, the president. He do that every time. Just yesterday he did that.
Wow.
Just yesterday he did that. So we actually know him, and we told you guys. When I told you guys about Dillon, the whole country, everybody went against me from home and abroad, the whole country. So some of us just sitting watching you guys, you know. But what we will not take folks who will try to bend the law because of their own political gain, who will want to look at tenure position that yesterday they went against us and won the case at the Supreme Court for a tenure position. And then the former president wrote the lawmakers and say, you know what, let's do away with this tenure position. Let's do away with this thing. You know, there go Mr. Dillon again and called the former president a wicked man. He called him names. He called George Weah a wicked man for doing that. how George Weah was going against the Constitution. But today, he's trying to take other people from their job. So when you see all those things, and we told you guys, they didn't believe us, because all of a sudden, the man who sacrificed a whole lot during our dark days, George Weah, become demonic. All of a sudden, become demonic. So that mindset in the people head, they don't care. It reminds me when people never wanted Samuel Kando, they decide to destroy the entire country. That's the second time they're doing it again. They decide to destroy the entire country. They don't care to put a M16, AK-47, all those weapons on them, and blow up good building. Sometime when I was in Liberia, become a man with inquisitive mindset. I just tried, and I just look around, see holes. I stay on the walls of places. I went up to a place called, a beautiful place used to be up Duka. No Duka there again, because of the decision we make. And then the same people will come back and say, war is not good. Well, not good, you'll destroy our country. No, you left Monrovia and went to Nimba and joined and come and destroy your city. Now the same people talking again. Oh, what Dila is doing, they just love to talk. They just love to talk. Now, all of a sudden, JMB said, war in the around the world, things are gonna get tough. When we talk about those things, they say some of us we too dull. Keff Hassan, you dull. Just today, the foreign minister Sarah Beslow, she said revenue will be difficult, hard days, because there's war all over, hardship today. But when we explain those things, they call us that we were dull. Liberian, when you stop making judgment based on your own biasness and face reality, we will do better. You got to stop making judgment because you bias. You got to stop making judgment because you feel that somebody told you that this person get container of money behind. And funnily, Tomalin was there. Tomalin, I, and few other guys, including Ben, was sitting with the former president. And this container of money came. Tomalin was sitting right there. The container of money issue came up. And the president said, if I get container of money in my backyard, will I sit to be president and they insult me every day? Does that make sense? But people went to the polling station because they went and voted against George Weah because they told them the container of money behind. So I went there looking for the container of money. I didn't even see container. Tomalin was sitting right there. That's weakness. And I hope people stop making judgment based on biasness. And when you start to make judgment based on that, then we will start get people, innocent people will start suffering because of certain people decision. And lastly, let me say this. I'm sorry, Gabi, sitting in the back listening, but lastly, let me say this. Whenever a country, right, facing crisis, they always go. Let me give you an example. In the 90s, when there was a crisis here from the Bush senior, they went with the younger Bill Clinton. When they had crisis with Bush Jr., they went with the younger Barack Obama. do your case study, check it out. Because a lot of people say, what about America? They get Biden. This is a system that been in place for over 200 years. It's a system. When they have crisis, they always go to the younger guy in the 40s. They always go to the younger guys. So don't make that comparison. I rest for now, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, for program note, let me say that tomorrow we have the movie artist, the star, Gregory Frank Atus, the guy who just made his movie called Burning Bush, right? How do you call it?
Yes, Burning Out the Bush, I think.
Yeah, our guest tomorrow.
I think Breaking of the Bush or something.
Yeah, Breaking of the Bush.
Breaking the Bush. He'll be our guest tomorrow, and he will talk more about the movies and everything about the movie. We'll be having him tomorrow as our guest. And then on Saturday, we have the Minister of Commerce, the Honorable Amin Modai will be our guest on Saturday. Minister Amin Modai will be our guest. And I want to say thanks to Mr. Russell for making that possible too. It's good. Thank you. We'll be discussing Liberianization policy and how Liberians, there are certain businesses on the books for Liberians to do. Liberians to do these businesses. We having these. And Mr. Modai has promised to ensure that Liberians are in power, to make sure that Liberians, because you got the fact, say that some Lebanese people are selling ice and oil in Liberia, cold water, they're selling it. So Modai said he will enforce that the Liberianization Act, and also he'll also be discussing about his 100-day deliverables to the country. So it will be an interesting time on Saturday with the minister, and tomorrow we have Frank Atus. But guys, look, back on the 10-year position, I'm still concerned about it, and I call on the Senate. I call Madam the Vice President the President of the Senate, the President pro tem, and senators, because what's the purpose of establishing 10-year positions then that you cannot protect? Because then it's like if you establish a 10-year position tomorrow, people say, "Come on, you're just wasting our time." Because tomorrow you guys will go tomorrow and just dismantle it. I don't think it's fair. So I pray and hope that right now, as I heard, that the last thing I heard this back out on the show is that this president on ice right now. The president, I think he met with some senators yesterday, and he told them to go and handle it. And I think I'm happy that his justice ministers, I listened to his confirmation today. He's a very sound justice minister, designate, Councillor Oswald Twe. And I hope he will advise the president wisely on these things that should not be temporary tenure positions. And lastly, it nominated people are nominated for tenure position. They just run into the places already. Come on. I heard today they tried to stop the fishery lady, tried to prevent her from entering the building. I don't think that's how you do it. If they nominate you, the Senate will take your nomination, and then before you go to that place, but you don't just rush to the place they nominate you to go, and you want to tell people, you stop this from happening. This is happening. And what I'm hearing happening at LTA and Fishery and Soul. And the LTA, I don't know the lady who's heading LTA. I don't know her, but honestly, when I was checking, she had done a great job to transform that place. And I think she and her team gave them a chance to finish the tenure. They are doing a great job. And 92% of our population is covered by mobile networks today. Can you imagine all under this lady leadership? 1.2 million additional Liberians subscribe to mobile communication services. They are doing a good job. That's why the second tenure on, because the confidence they have in them. The same Senate, most of them who today are opposing these people, now some of them, they confirm these people have a second full-year term. Then after you did it, you voted to confirm them. And you turn around now, you want to undermine it because you want to put the party.
Tomalin, you strike a point. Some of the same people. Some of the same people confirm them. Why they couldn't say election is coming up, right? Please take this down so we can. Who put this up?
Jeff, I put that on there for a reason. Go
No.
ahead.
Okay, but you're distracting us. So let me
I was we were gonna go next though, because you concluded, right? But go ahead.
yeah, we do that, you distract folks.
I know, I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand, but I was gonna go next. Or
You know
George,
why
go ahead.
you couldn't say, okay, election coming, we're not going to confirm, or we're not going to do anything, but you did that under the law. But some of you the same senator called himself Maserado senator, who have confirmed those people going out and saying something else behind the people back. You know, if you succeed in saying taking it, you have to pay them. With a country that you're calling to rescue, then you're gonna pay thousand each of them. You will pay them over $300,000. You're talking about you don't have money. You can't even pay the teacher them yet for LU. They gave 72 hours. They will strike. The WAHEC fee, you can't even pay them, but you decide to take them off, pay them millions of dollars because you want to put partisan in there, because you promise him. Let me say this. I mean, not agree with Mr. Russell. You know, here I have a attack, but I think it man like this could be fit for a certain mayor, and say, look, let's put him there. But he said, oh no, I'll put somebody there because that person was chanting for me on the street. If some people say, okay, well, Joe, we did that, but you promised that you're going to be better. You promise you're going to be better. So don't bring that thing, oh, you did that to me. That's the reason we're not there. Then you come back and do the same thing. Oh, Joe, we're 10 young people. No. There's a guy from Lottery went to court, the Supreme Court interpreted that, and he went back there. There is nobody, and just take off tenure and just walk free. LCC Martin was paid cash. Stuff they're not going to win. They're not going to win it. But because they want to use power, like what they did to Julie Andy, that the mansion will call another branch of government, executive branch will call another branch of government and say, no case, let me go. That's what you voted for?
Lofa won't come in small.
That's why you voted for Tomalin, my man.
No, let Keff Hassan.
Tomalin, who got to say that. That's what you voted for. So for me, I think we gone bad. It's like you say, oh, Joe Defense Minister Grady Allison killed somebody in Caldwell, so we're going to bring whole war from Nimba and destroy the whole country. Yeah, oh, Joe, we took this guy to court, but they pay him. Okay, we're going to clear the entire tenure position. Them, we'll pay them all, but you can't even pay the WAHEC fee. You can't even pay it. Teachers, mothers, our beloved Omar, them thinking where we will take that money from. But you want to take people out of their legitimate job by giving by the law of the land. Then you call yourself the rescuer, the changer, the this. And by the way, lastly, he's the one with president of the Senate where they put that law. Then he's saying yesterday, oh, why everywhere there's tenure position. The man forget that he's the one with the president of the Senate while they were passing that law. He was there. I rest my people. Lofa,
Russell, Julius.
Let me give you. I'll let Russell go, because at this point I feel I want to ask Keff Hassan why all the opportunity that was given him during the elections, all the campaign time, you were opportune to run all of these campaign messages. Campaign is over, dude. Campaign is over. We are talking about moving Liberia forward. We are speaking to issues of substance. How can we actually change the trajectory of things? And you're still running back on these campaign. It appears to be that you dude. Anyway,
But let me remind you something small. Let me remind you something small. Let me remind you something that's small. Maybe I will take it small. The tenure position stuff like going on is something like going on now. It's not campaign message. Maybe you forget, but there's a tenure position they want to take from people breaking the law. Julie Andy's stuff is not a campaign. This is not a campaign. So I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not what you spoke to earlier. Have you listened to what you just rant about?
Like what? Just remind me, like what?
No, let me give Russell the time because I'll respond to you on my.
You know why you cannot? You know why you cannot?
No, because I want to give Russell the time. Because I want to give Russell the time. That's why I want to be respectful of
that's it. That's it.
Let us not
X, Y, and Z
ignore
is campaign. It's not campaign message. The tenure thing is not campaign message. It's happening. It's happening. So I hope you get it, Mr. Russell.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Russell.
You highlighted from what you're highlighting.
Okay, what I was highlighting earlier.
You put it up now.
Okay. It's the comment from Amara Kane, right? Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is what I was speaking to, the level of deception. All right. You see here in this comment here, Amara Kane said, and I read exactly, and Russell, then you can speak to it because you spoke of the asset declaration and whether it will be published. Amara Kane in this statement on a Facebook or a post said, he responded to a guy who was asking about his asset declaration and his worth. He said, nice try. Keep peddling lies. The day I declare my assets, Liberian would know because I will publish it. Listen to the sentence here. I will publish it. Under no condition, I would leave the battle on transparent elections that prevented your party from stealing the Liberian people's vote, and I serve the same people in secret. Now, today, when we go back and ask for Amara Kane's asset declaration and where it is published, Amara Kane and other people are asking people to go and obtain it from the LACC. Now, how do you expect such an individual to be forceful and, again, with spines to argue or hold other people accountable at the Senate? When this man who claimed he will be transparent can't even provide to the public his asset declaration information. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think you speak to to what is critically wrong with our society is that this whole hypocrisy. Speaking of both sides of our mouth. Amara Kane was there before. He served in the Ministry of Finance, a very high-profile position at that. And there are a lot of allegations out there, whether they're true or not, that he acquired and assembled some unexplained wealth. So it'd be a good thing if I were him, and he seemed to be one of the darling boys out there now, and you're beating his chest. And talking about a lot of issues, and they're trying to pretend like he's been transparent. Maybe he is transparent, but so if he is transparent, he should come out and declare his asset publicly. Do like Senator Dillon or Senator Lawrence or the other folks have done. So come up and talk about your farm in Bapulu and talk about all of the assets that you required during the 6+ years that you serve in very high profile positions at that. So we cannot be playing and speaking both sides of our mouth. We cannot be playing these games. If you say you're transparent, then to come out publicly, and make it a sunshine policy where you come out and and talk about these things, and not they'll try to be pretending about it. Because last time I checked, the whole tenure regime started during the Salif administration when Unity Party was there, the last 12 years. I mean, they created a lot of these tenure positions to begin with. So what's the difference now? I mean, what's happening now? Didn't they know it then when those positions were created? When they created
Exactly.
So what is happening? What is happening now? So we have to be honest and forthright with the Liberian folks, and we can't be playing these double-sided games.
I mean, it's sad. It's very sad that people
you get it now, Lofa.
People knows it. People know the right thing. They know exactly what's happening. It's not, and because of their friends. Let me honestly. Some people said they won't go to a particular place. They must go to a particular ministry, a particular institution. Where they want to go. They told them, say, but it's tenure. I mean, then you said no, but you can find a way and put me there still. And now you're hearing. And one thing I will say this. One thing. Yeah, the people are calling now. Some people are calling for protests, nationwide protests. The last thing you want to see in a new government to face with is people talking about they want to protest. Because when that happened, they invest all these things. You see the president meeting with these investors and signing, shaking hands. People will not put their money in Liberia.
Yeah, it would definitely chill investment.
Nobody who can put their money. Then they people know very well that our securities now that well prepared to anything. No on yet. And when Banasali was president, I remember carefully. Banasali, when she was president, every time CDC said the one may not, she would call the CDC people and talk to them. Say, you're for the country's sake, you negotiate with them. And now, but the people what they are doing now, I think people should see reason and say, look, I don't think it's the right thing we're doing. It was a close election, and the country is divided. I think for the fact that the CDC conceded before the final result was announced, they conceded right away. They did not go to court to say they want challenge. I think we should try to work from the center and try to open up the country up instead of saying want to cause more confusion. Some people are telling you now that at the respective ministries and agencies, they are being removed. They put them, send them places, going to them, taking them away. You don't do that to people, though. Honestly, that's how you bring problem and come in the country, and then things go. Now, the people are saying that they're going to protest. They're making demands. The last thing you want to hear about protests, because you saw happen June 7. June 7, the country came for its needs. Had the protesters maintained the protest sustained for another more day, maybe the we administration would have surrendered. Who knows? And now
let me ask you guys something, because I haven't followed this very closely. Now, when Senator Dillon and Senator Lawrence and the others declared their asset, was it done publicly, or were people told to go to LACC to get that information? Why are these folks? Why are these folks shielding that?
It was done publicly, and
they did it publicly. And as a matter of fact, everybody on here will tell you that I'm not one of those who, and DeLon can really, we have our little thing. But in reality, DeLon did it publicly. And not only did he do it publicly, he published it on the social media.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did people verify? Not too many people did that. So to his credit, as a matter of fact, he was the first. I think he or the other guy, they did it and they published on the social media. Now, the guy who came in, Amara Kane, who came in and said he will be the face of true transparency. And in the comment I read for you here, he said he will not only declare but publish his asset. Now he's telling us to go to the LACC to obtain his asset declaration. What does that tell you? Is this a man who's supposed to speak?
Yeah, no, they sound like they're trying to give us a run around.
Right. Because he knows the system. He knows they're not easily going to give in to providing that information. That's why he's now directing us to the LACC. How many Liberians can afford to go through the entire process to obtain that information? He knows it's not going to happen. And these are the kind of deception we speak to when the likes of Amara Khan, and then you want to act like you're the major, you're leading the fight for a rescue nation. No, you're not.
I want to commend Representative Musa Belete. I think he put up, he's calling on this for the first time. I don't know when last they will ever happen, but he's calling for the audit of the legislature now. I want to commend Representative Musa Belete for that. He's calling for the audit of the legislature. Musa, one of them, Musa, Keff. You know, Musa?
I think
Musa,
Musa Benedict called for it too.
He put the legislature, and that's a good thing because, and I want to commend him for that, for taking that lead, and also he challenging the president with budget. He voted no on this budget that the president asked for, but he gave his reasons why he voted no. And right now the government is operating on there's not the national budget, the budget president we have submitted. When they took over the Senate back to them, they said, well, the budget represented his priorities. So since he's not president, he's representing President Bogart priority, which is right. But now, so the budget with the executive branch, and it was submitted to the Senate. Our budget year runs from January 1st to December 31st now. So right now, to keep the government running and functioning, President Bogart asked for $40 million to keep it going. But then I think Representative Mobility is also asking to give reasons for that budget to show how they're using that money. And to also Representative Yeke Koluba, he wrote that the president's trip to Ghana, the concern that he asking, I think they voted today to some of the minister of state and the chief of staff to the president. They want to know why the president went to Ghana and who he took with him to Ghana, and they want to know the amount of money that was spent on that trip. Yeke wrote at the plenary, and he voted on it today. I think 35% voted in favor of it, and it was scary. So, I mean, you talk about transparency in the government. This government preach for transparency. I mean, it's something everybody should welcome, that wherever it happens, to be transparent. If any money spent, taxpayer money, they should let the people know how much they're spending. And like we said, it's not an easy thing when you're on a campaign show, when you're making promises and saying what you're going to do. When you get in the position of government, it's different though. You see reality coming. And right now, you're not hearing noise right now because the budget has not been passed. The big budget has been passed. As soon as that budget is passed, you start hearing different stories now, what's happening and so forth, who's in a cookie jar and everything, because that's how things have been in our country. And this government promised that it will be transparent and it will be a different government. So we look forward. We wish want for it to succeed. Want to see it happen. And so, but guys, look, that's what we are as a country, and we just got to continue to push. But again, when you ask what on my mind today is this tenure position, I'm against them dismantling tenure positions. I think it is wrong. You should not do it. Those who want to occupy tenure positions should wait for their time. And it makes no sense for any government to pay people millions of dollars because you want to get rid of tenure officials to put in your partisans. It's wrong. And I'm happy that the president is not pushing it. I think he's seeing the president, and he's trying to deal with the Senate to handle. So the senators, the boys in your court, and if you, like you said, you're not going to call them for confirmation hearing, and because I think that's the right thing you're doing, and make sure that those who have tenure positions should serve their tenure, and after that, the government got 6 years in power, and most of the people that have tenure positions, they will be finishing the term in the next 2.5 years. You still got time to appoint people, okay? Because now we are waited when LCC got he put the people there. So I think you should do the same thing to people, man. It should not be pushing people to out of the offices and so forth. You can't bring conflict in the country. The country going to have problems and so forth. I don't know, but guys, that's what we are. You guys want to give your before we go to that point, we'll still have some more time. Mr. Russell, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? Anything on your mind?
Well, there are a lot of things on my mind. We want to give this. Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. So I think there are a lot of things on my mind. So we want to give this government the chance to do right by the people. So we're looking forward to it delivering as it said it was going to. So there are a lot of things, on my mind, but, like I said, we'll wait and see and give them the benefit of the doubt, at least for now. There are some appointments that are troubling and that a number of folks are talking about. But, I'm sure, I think like we said earlier, the Chief Parliament said earlier, and others, I mean, there are many things that happen that are happening that the president may not know directly, but at the end of the day, the buck stops at his doorstep. So we are waiting and seeing how best he's going to resolve some of these burning issues in the country. But I trust that that he's going to get those things done. I've worked with the president for a long time, and I believe in his leadership, and so we just have to to wait and see and see how things take shape. I was in Liberia for the inauguration, and I stayed there for a couple of weeks after. And so there were still a lot of moving pieces. There were still a lot of moving things. So right now, we just want to not alarm the situation or not alarm the public, but just give them the benefit of the doubt. And at the end of the day, we're hoping that they're going to deliver.
Kev, what's on your mind? Yeah, don't talk for the whole day now.
I like how you can giggle. You can giggle first.
What's on your mind, Kev? Please. What's on your mind?
There's a lot. But no. Honestly, it's the tenure thing on my mind, and when folks try to ban and change the law, without a law in your country or go by a constitution, you don't have a country. Because some of the argument that we face during the election time, where that there's a change on the way in business will not be as usual, but you're doing the worst. So it scares me to see that laws are not being obeyed, and not by the ordinary people, but people who supposed to be an example of obeying the law. I just cite the case that a key member from the mansion that called on the Giuliani case. I think every Liberian should be outraged for that. That if you don't have connection, affiliation, you might end up going to jail, or you have your legitimate case, you might end up losing it because somebody can walk to you and do something to you, and they have connection, and you'll see that person and go free. So it's on my mind, because a case like the again, folks. Yeah, I see some folks say you like to repeat. Well, continue to repeat this tenure thing. I'll repeat it because without a law, or holding to law or constitution, you don't have nothing. And what JMB is doing is the president, Jose Imambaka, is doing is dangerous, because folks are going to offices, are taking out people by force, taking the law into the hands. So what happening now? The country is going to be chaotic, and I told Ben today and this afternoon. I said, Ben, I'm afraid. He said, why? I said, because the way things go in the country now, you go in somebody's office and you say, I'm going to move them. Remember, the country is divided, because our people will say, no, you can't do this to us. We are a member of this country. That's our country. We were born here. You can't do this. Then they say, that's my government. You're not supposed to be there. Mr. Russell, I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a serious problem in the coming weeks, months, with the attitude of this president. Lastly, a lot of people get hope he will do, but this president, there is a example of precedent when people thought that he was going to fix the chaos within the CPP. The chaos, the CPP went into fire. It was bloody. They went to court. They were shouting at each other on every platform. the CPP split was well under the watch of Jose Human Boakai. And I'm seeing the same thing creeping into Liberia. There's a creeping danger into that country. And I rest.
If I was on your mind,
What's on my mind is the issue of Amara Conan having to declare and publish his asset. Um, Legally, I am not saying that Amara Conan is bound by the law. The law clearly states that it is not compulsory for him to publish it, but for a man who claimed to be transparent and promise the people that he would do such a thing to come out here and shield his assets, we are concerned. What is he hiding? If I had to do anything, if I were Amara Khan, the first thing I would have done, as savvy as he is technologically, okay, he claimed to be that savvy. He's on the social media every day. After session, he posts everything, his contribution in session, he will post it. Okay, everything that is going on, he's posting it, even during the election. Why is he not utilizing similar courage to publish his assets so that Liberians are aware of what he brought to the table and what he intends to do in the not too distant future? With the issue of the tenureship, it's also on my mind. I think the UP is trending on a bad path, and it's not in their interest. What they're doing to those guys that are in those positions, or guys and women who are in those positions, they are treating them as though there isn't a law. You cannot put a law in place and expect to behave lawless. This is what they're doing, and I don't think it's in the best interest of Liberian. I saw that Darius DeLong was celebrating, and I think you spoke to this yesterday, Tomalin, that he was congratulating people who are in clear violations of the law. He's supposed to be the light. He's supposed to be a prime example of how things are supposed to be done. Unfortunately, he and others are celebrating these behaviors. I don't think it's right for Liberia. I think we need to do better when it comes to the observing the law and being respectful of the law. So, I mean, those are the things that are on my mind. And in that regards, I just want to say I think we do have a long way to go. This is one place where I will agree with Keff Hassan that yes, we do have a long way to go, considering the way this government started, the way they're going about doing things. I don't see any hope, but I knew it all along. That's the reason why my comparison was made, and I said President Weah and Honorable Boycott are 5 and 6. The only difference between here would be the age difference. But now I guess as we gradually work our way through the process, President Weah appeared to be the golden boy in this case. He probably would have done, far better in his second term than Honorable Boycott. President Boycott is doing right now, because some of his position, his appointments that are being made. Let me use American's word on himself. He said it's farce. So this is what it is.
Well, I want to say again, I want to congratulate the commissioner officials today who are commissioned by the president. They received the commission today to serve in the government, led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Dean of the Cabinet, Madam Beslow. All those who are commissioned, congratulations today. And all those who were appointed today, including our own friend Robert Wilmot Pade. He was appointed today to represent the position Isaac Jackson held in the National Maritime Organization. That's where he's going, in London. And he'll be based in London, England, where he and his family. And also, Nido Zaza Lay will be the Maritime Commissioner. And Clark Tume will be Deputy Commissioner for Legal, Liberian Legislative Regulatory Commission. Congratulations to all these people. Go and serve our country well and make this generation proud. And again, tomorrow we have Gregory Frank Atus, with the guy whose movie is now trending all over the country and talking about him. He'll be our guest tomorrow. Come in and let us join him and celebrate him. And on Saturday, the Minister of Commerce will be the first cabinet minister to appear on this platform, the new government, Honorable Amin Mudad. We have him. And before we leave, today's the birthday of our friends, our sister, the wife of Dr. Peabody. Peabody, they're on the way to dinner.
Oh, wow.
Sange Louise Dennis Peabody. Today's her birthday.
You have a picture?
Today is Mrs. Peabody's birthday, Sange Louise Dennis Peabody. Happy birthday, Sange. Say Sange. And I know you're having a nice time out there with the body, having a nice dinner right now. And well, we just want to say, may God bless you and may you celebrate your birthday in grand style and good health and everything that's come to your birthday. And celebrating good health. So, guys, look, it's been a good time on this show tonight, and we look forward. Let's continue to pray for our country. And lastly, as I said, my mind is tenure position. Leave tenure position alone. Leave the people alone. Let them serve the country. Let them end their tenure. And after that, yeah, you guys can go to be appointed to your tenure. You'll leave it. And then some of our people should start playing games. Our lawmakers. You cannot vote for something you enacted, and because it is in your political interest now, your friends there, and you play that game. It's not good. You don't do that. Yesterday, they met the president at the mansion, and I think the president told him to handle this issue. Right now, that's why you see his tenure issue now is on hold, and they are working the way to see how to end it. It's not fair. Don't do that to people who have served their country.
Wow.
Yeah, then because if you get rid of these people, you gotta pay them off. If you pay somebody for almost for 24 plus 6, 28 months, 30 months, you're paying them from. I mean, one person get almost $300,000.
$300,000, yeah.
And if you're doing the alternate officials, you're paying them off. It makes no sense. Then the people that are coming into, you put in there, you got to pay them money to every. Come on, man. Look, we understand. Yeah, but election has consequences, but I don't think you should do it this way. Because if there was why they created a tenure position if you do this? Why you acting into law? Then you do that, So let me just let me just send us some shout to our people who've been following this show today.
Yep, cool.
I want to say, start on the line. Guys, y'all help me. There I go, man.
You got Neuro Hoax on here.
Oh, Neuro Hoax.
Eddie.
Yeah, Neuro Hoax.
Sita Chelsea P. Norris, Bertha Stewart,
Jackie
Joma Jala,
Archie
Seaton,
business. I don't care. Evas, Davis, Winifred Smith. Got Yomotro Kranga. Seattle Chelsea. Yeah, you love my name for true. What? Every day, Tomalin. All right. Solomon now. We got S. Olufemi Adams. My own man, the CEO, Alvin Logan in Indiana. One of the Librarians. You guys been on near there. I've been on near. Alvin Logan, the CEO. We got Sarah Jacobs, James Masale, Naomi Tanu, Nakland, Bad Thomas. I mean, you guys, let's go, man. Get the people.
Trocon J. Lathrop is on here. Martin Willie is also on here. Bertha Stewart, I mentioned her earlier. Elder James C. Blyie.
It was a Blyie. He taught me in Zion Community College.
Okay.
I think he's in Connecticut. Yeah, Reverend Blyie. See, Wisdom Cheddar. Wisdom Cheddar seems to have knowledge about fire science, though. Next time in my journals, Wisdom, let's talk about fire, man. We got Eleanor Davis watching from Atlanta, Mo Freeman. And today is the birthday of, I think, the daughter of Wilfred Russell. I saw the picture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get a picture, man.
Right.
I sent it to you. Check your WhatsApp. Yeah. So today is
send it to this guy, to Julius.
Oh, okay. No, I don't. I don't have Julius' contact, but you can send it to Julius. My little girl, Pearl, turned 9 today. Happy birthday, dear.
Wow.
Yeah, she's very, very curious. That's my ride and die. We bike together. We do a lot of things together. And so today, her formal birthday party will be on Saturday. So,
wow.
Happy birthday, Pearly.
Definitely. Wow. Happy birthday to you, Pearly. And of course, happy birthday to Dr. Peabody's wife.
Exactly. Yep.
Who is also celebrating her birthday on here. Actually, Ruth DeLon. Ruth DeLon said, if you guys don't call her name, the show's not coming on tomorrow. She said she's gonna shut it off. So I got to make sure that you actually acknowledge that. Abraham Cannon, Archie Seaton again, Martha Lane Sumo.
But you guys didn't put up the Cash App though.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, yeah, by the way, Cash App, guys. Yeah, thank you. Guys, Brother Russell, thank you. That's a good reminder. I try to keep up with it, but sometimes I forget. I'm sorry, guys.
Julia, put a little girl picture up, please.
Did you send it to me? You send that messenger or what?
Messenger, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put
Edwin
it
Crow in Delaware. That's my big brother from Firestone. There, he's in Delaware. He's one of our regular followers on the show. Nora Kuzba, I don't know how to call her. I think she's the closing argument. What we'll call her the rescue.
The rescue auntie.
The closing argument auntie, maybe. And also this is my man. I think in North Carolina, insurmountable van. The guy used to give me a hard time. We'll find it met and we'll find it a piece of boy.
You stay on your case.
It's not my case, but yeah, when you don't talk against it, is your job. Where then you piss his name out.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
that's how they are. When you
insurmountable van. He's a good dude. Yeah, yes, that's the daughter of Winfred Russell, the little cutie. Yeah, adorable, man. Happy birthday, man. Our young niece. Also, another shout out to you. And birthday also to Sange Louis Dennis Peabody. You guys all do celebrating birthdays today. I want to wish you guys happy birthday, best wishes, and God blessing, man. It's good when you celebrate your birthday. My birthday's coming next month, March. Wow.
Oh wow! Wow! So it's gonna be declared a public holiday, huh?
Public holiday. I know, right? I see Bertha Stewart. Yeah. I see they all. Yeah. Raina Roberts, Andy Roberts. I saw Minister Joga Wilson earlier. I saw him earlier watching the show. I see W. Alvin Jones in Delaware.
Yes. Yeah.
I would say thank you for your service to this country, man. Thank you for this ex-military guy, and I want to say thank you for his service. Yeah,
guys, you guys are asking. Let me just add this regarding the
Bella Isabella from in Minnesota.
Let's try to. I mean, we want to maintain the show, but again, you guys want us to come on 5 days a week. That support have to be there. That's part of the biggest problem. That's why we come 3 days a week, unless we really have to stretch it. Like this week, we're coming on, I think, all 5 days of the week, right?
Yeah,
but
whatever
show, contribution
pay for though. Imagine somebody pay for this show for today to come on.
Right. So there you go. So whatever contribution you guys can give to bring to Liberia the independent view, and that's a good thing I like about this platform. And the fact that no one is subject to agree with anything anybody else say. You can speak independently, freely, including the audience member. You can say what you want to say. We will either agree or disagree with you, but we will not ban you unless you start using profanities and being disrespectful. Then we will have to institute some kind of mechanism to control you. Other than that, this is why we are here. We have to provide that alternative to Liberians so that they can get information from diverse views, and that's all we are asking all of you is your little financial contribution, whatever you can make to upkeep the platform or to bring us on 5 days a week. We'll appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. The Cash App is right there. Henry,
Ross.
thanks for being with us.
I'm 35. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday, John Ross. Happy birthday,
John Ross. Happy birthday to you, boss man.
And we'll see John Nelson also. Want to wish thank you guys for watching. Aaron Kuban.
Yeah.
That's good, guys.
Thank you. I think, Julius, I think it's critically important that people out there to get free, balanced, and independent views. That we, it costs a lot of money. You got to keep the lights on. You got to keep the fuel running for the generators. We have to keep Henry and the crew there in Liberia.
It's almost 12 o'clock. It's after 12 o'clock. Here still in, and the good thing about it, when I went to Liberia, I visited the station, and I know it's true that I met all of them. And in fact, the phone he's using that we can call from, people already took that phone to Liberia to get in that phone.
Yeah. So your contribution is greatly needed. If you're out there watching, and whether you're a regular viewer of this program or your first time viewer, your contribution any amount.
As the closing argument rescue entry, right?
It was a good one, guys. We'll be out. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be right back here.
Yeah, okay, guys. Heron, take care, man.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Heron.
note, we have to go. Many thanks to the team there. That's the closing argument team. And the team there at Truth FM 96.9 in Nima County Secretariat. Many thanks to you guys for also relaying this program. And the team that at Hot FM 107.9 for relaying this program, and other affiliate radio stations for also carrying this program. My name is Henry Jarrett. I've been here with the man Arthur Butler, who has been behind the camera. On behalf of the team, we'll say bye-bye, John, or same time, same station tomorrow for another edition of the closing argument. Bye-bye.